Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Sajanji.
Hello.
I'm taking a video on.
Ashir.
Hello, Raju.
Yes, sir. Welcome,
Raju.
sir. Welcome, sir. Sajan Bhaiya. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Yes,
My
sir.
hardworking, sorry, my hardworking SSG, Dr. Lalit, APO State President, Dr. Srinivasa Raju, Secretary, Dr. Kishore, Treasurer, Dr. Subhash Chandra Bose, IPP, Dr. Subramaniam, London faculty, all leaders, delegates, and friends. Let me first congratulate IMA AP State for arranging such wonderful CME on an important topic of adult vaccination. We all know the great role played by vaccination in control of the corona pandemic. Under our leadership of our Prime Minister Sri Sri Modi ji and guidance of Health Minister Mandavia ji, India has not only become a global leader in development and manufacturing of vaccine, we also have the distinction of the administering maximum vaccine dosage in the entire world. And it is this monumental task of vaccination in our such diverse country that has led to successful control of the third wave of COVID. IMA has always actively participated in all the government vaccination drives from pulse polio to COVID. In 2018, when Dr. Ravi Mandedkar was national president, IMA published the first book of adult vaccination. Now, the promote adult vaccination, we have planned a series of educational programs when modules are made for self-learning. Also, very soon, we will publishing the second updated version of book on adult vaccination. Both these books are freely available on IMA website. I appeal to all my leaders and members to take this opportunity to update your knowledge of newer vaccine and propagate, participate, and promote the vaccination to all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Best wishes for the event. Thank you very much, Raju. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. On behalf of IMA State, I request my Honorary State Secretary, Dr. Nandakishore, to take the and welcome the delegates.
Good morning, sir. Respected National President Sajanand sir, and Secretary Lele sir, and our beloved President Raju sir, our immediate past President Subramanian garu, and other past presidents of the states, and our Finance Secretary Bose garu, and I welcome on behalf of IMA State all the delegates for this academic session on adult vaccination. Today's pulse polio program is going on throughout the state, and our beloved President Srinivas Raju sir has given a call to cooperate with all the government authorities wherever it is required. So I welcome all the esteemed speakers for this academic session, and particularly Lokesh Garu from USA. Even though it is odd time for him, he was here with us. And I welcome all the delegates, because without you, the meeting won't be possible. And once again, I thank National IMA for giving direction to conduct this meeting and attending to our inauguration program. Now I request our president to give his opening remarks, and take over the proceedings of the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Nandakishore. First of all, I request the organizer to share the screen with the IMA prayer. And I request Dr. Subhash Chandra Bose, our Honorary Finance Secretary, to recite the prayer.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Raj Garu. I am going to read this IMA prayer. May everybody be happy. May everybody be healthy. May everybody be free from the pain. May everybody be from the sorrow. May we be the feeling pure. Beyond every greed and lure.
Next,
We
flag salutation.
the members of the Indian Medical Association, stand here to salute our national flag. Its honor and glory shall be our light and strength, and its courses shall be our course. We pledge our responsibilities as the accredited members of the national organization. We swear we will dedicate everything in our power to see it fly high in the committee of the nations. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bose Garu. And my dear friends, on behalf of Indian Medical Association, Andhra Pradesh, it is a privilege and also it is a prestigious program, especially directed by the IMA headquarters to conduct this program in the month of February. After receiving the direction from the Honorary Secretary General, Dr. Leleji, we have planned and also secured the esteemed speakers from the national and also international acumen. First of all, definitely I have to say my thankful congratulations to the National President, Dr. Sajananji, and also and the Honorary Secretary General, Dr. Leleji, and our nation leader and also national vice president, Dr. A.L.T. Ravindra Reddy from the Telugu states, and all the esteemed and also learned friends, senior colleagues and past presidents and past secretaries of the AP state, and the dearest delegates who have come and participate actively and eagerly on this virtual board. Sir, on behalf of Indian Medical Association, once again, my thankful congratulations to all of you. Dear friends, we all know today's theme is get your family vaccinated. Why we choose this theme from this for this adult vaccination? We all know. We know about the childhood vaccination, but adult vaccination is the most neglected subject and also the most ambiguous subject, even for the doctors also. So that's why we have selected such a topics and such as speakers with different facets of the adult vaccination. Today we have to enrich our skills. So first of all, I congratulate and also extend my thanks to the esteemed speakers, Dr. Giridhar Lokesh, who is the Assistant Professor of Medicine, WMU School of Medicine, USA, Michigan, and Dr. Padasarthi, Professor and HOD of the Social Preventive Medicine, Ashram Medical College, Dr. Manoj, the excellent and also the learned internal medicine consultant of Manipal Hospitals, Vijayawada, and also Dr. Yugandhar, my colleague in the Ashram Medical College, pulmonologist, and Dr. Anuradha Madam is the OBG consultant in the Guntur, who is going to enlighten us pregnancy and vaccination. And also Uma Shankar from the Mahatma Gandhi Cancer Research Institute, Visakhapatnam, who is enlightened us on adult vaccination for prevention of cancer, which is the most crucial, I think. Sir, you all know adult vaccination is the fulcrum in the prevention of the not only cancer, even it will prevent the cardiovascular diseases also. So, sir, before I have to enlighten by our speakers, definitely the board, definitely we have to know some small facts. Dear friends, in our country, almost 3 crore people are infected with the human papillomavirus. And almost 21% to 40% of all meningococcal disease cases are pre-teens and teens and young adults, ages between 11 and 24. And up to 4 lakh people are hospitalized annually due to the flu-related complications. So there are more than 4 lakh cases of pertussis each year before the Tdap vaccine was available. So we have to prevent the diseases. by the adult vaccination program, by successfully implementing the adult vaccination program. So today I give a call to the state government and also union government on behalf of IMA state to give such an importance, largest importance and esteemed importance to the adult vaccination program. Then I request our national president, Dr. Sajananji, to light the lamp and inaugurate the session. Dr. Sajananji.
సార్ వెళ్ళిపోయినట్టున్నారు సార్.
ఉన్నారు ఆడియో అయింది. బషీర్ లైటింగ్ ది ల్యాంప్.
శుభం కురుత్వం కళ్యాణం ఆరోగ్యం ధన సంపదః. శుభం కురుత్వం కళ్యాణం ఆరోగ్యం ధన సంపదః. శత్రుబుద్ధి వినాశాయ దీపజ్యోతిర్నమోస్తుతే. దీపజ్యోతిర్నమోస్తుతే. శుభం కురుత్వం కళ్యాణం ఆరోగ్యం ధన సంపదః. శుభం కురుత్వం కళ్యాణం ఆరోగ్యం ధన సంపదః. శత్రుబుద్ధి వినాశాయ దీపజ్యోతిర్నమోస్తుతే. దీపజ్యోతిర్నమోస్తుతే.
Thank you, Bashir. Thank you, sir. And I request Dr. Ravindra Reddy, the National Vice President of Telugu States, to give his brief remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Srinivas Raju garu. Wonderful this topic. We all know that vaccination is only pediatrics. Affiliate adult vaccination is gaining importance for simple reason. There are so many malignancies which can be prevented. Infections can be prevented. Most importantly, COVID. We could escape the COVID fatality, mortality because of the vaccination. That's why we see less number of deaths. Most of us are probably say 95% of us had a COVID, but we did not have any symptoms. We did not get complicated, nor we were admitted, but for the vaccination. So choosing such a topic and national headquarters giving a direction to conduct this topic, I congratulate Dr. Srinivas Raju and Dr. Nandakishore and team for conducting this webinar. Wish you all the best, Dr. Raju garu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. And I request Honorary Secretary General Dr. Leleji to give his brief message. Okay, he is not reached. Okay. So I request our immediate past president, Dr. Subramanian garu, to give a brief message.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. Esteemed National President, Dr. Sajanand Prasad Singh ji, and National HSC, Dr. Lele, and other distinguished, our Vice President, our own friend, Dr. Ravindra Reddy, and esteemed dignitaries and the speakers of today. I'm very happy that the academic activities are continuously going on in the IMA AP state. And today is a very interesting topic and also very useful from the public awareness point of view. As all of us know, the pediatric vaccination is very well established and then known to public also. But coming to the adult vaccination is not that popularized in the Indian public. People above 18 years of age, there are so many vaccination procedures that has to be adopted. It is very well established in the Western countries, but here India, I think we have to popularize it among the public and also among our own colleagues, medical colleagues, especially regarding the papilloma virus and also the influenza vaccination, and also the routine vaccination. Sometimes they may be useful and helpful. Meningococcal vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine, and such things are essential, especially as we are adults are increasing, senior citizens are increasing in number, and also they are more prone to get this thing. As already pointed out by Ravindra Reddy, the vaccination for the COVID has saved many of us, and it has to be a continuous process. In all these things, we have got a panel of expert speakers, and I am sure all of us will be very well, will have good knowledge of the common problems which needs the adult vaccination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Subramanian garu. And I request our President-elect, Dr. Ravi Krishna. Dr. Ravi Krishna? Okay. I request the today's APMC observer, Dr. Chandra Balaji, the renowned psychiatrist from the Nellore, to give his brief remarks.
Respected President Dr. Srinivas Raju Garu, IMA AP State Branch. Respected Chief Guest Dr. Sahajanand Prasad Singh Garu, National President. Respected Honorary Guest Dr. J.S. Lele Garu, National Honorary Secretary General, Office Bearers of IMA AP State Branch, dear speakers and delegates, a very good morning. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Sambasiva Reddy Garu, Dr. B.K. Nayak Garu, Dr. I.R. Seth Garu of Andhra Pradesh Medical Council for giving me this opportunity, and I must congratulate IMA for choosing the theme Get Our Family Vaccinated, which is very important in the present ongoing pandemic situation. I request all the delegates to make use of the wisdom and knowledge of speakers by attending total CME. I wish the CME a grand success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Balaji Garu. Thank you very much. And at this juncture, I request and also share my just one information regarding the digital CME certificates are also hard copy of CME certificates only after the successful participation of all the delegates up to the 1 p.m. And after scrutinization of these, almost all the screenshots and also the report given by the APMC observer and also IMA state to the APMC, then only we have to get that certificates. So don't worry for the certificates. Definitely, we have to keep the certificates in our IMA state website in the downloadable format, or we may post or courier to your address or to mails to you. So don't worry about the certificates. So please concentrate on the subject and also enrich your skills. Thank you very much. And also I request our Honorary Finance Secretary, Dr. Subhash Bose Garu, to give his brief remarks. Unmute చేసుకోండి బోస్ గారు, unmute చేసుకోండి. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Raj Garu, for giving this opportunity to give my message. At the outset, I am very happy that my presence of our National President, Saranjanji, and our Honorary Secretary General, our J.S. Lile Garu, and also our Finance Secretary, Dr. Nandakishore Garu, immediate First President Subramanian Garu, and President-elect Ravikishti Garu, and all other members of AMAP State Executive Body, and all the delegates. And I am very happy that Dr. Edra Lokesh Garu, even though it is a hard time for him to participate in this meeting, and all the other speakers who are well versed with this subject. And incidentally, it is the vaccination day today itself, and this is the very appropriate topic chosen by our President, Dr. Raj Garu. I am very, very happy. I am sure this will be very successful meeting, and it will be very useful meeting for the all medical fraternity of our AP state. I am also thankful to our Balaji Garu, who is the observer for this APMC meeting. I am very, very thankful to the APMC for giving the lot of opportunities for conducting this sort of meetings. In future also, we will do the same thing. I am sure that it will be done under the guidance, under the able leadership of our President and Secretary, Dr. Raj Garu and Dr. Nandakishore Garu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bose Garu. Thank you. And at this juncture, I must request our past chairman of the AMS National IMA and national leader, Dr. Dagumati Srihar Rao Garu, to give a brief remarks.
Good morning, everybody. And our dynamic president, Dr. Srinivas Raju Garu, and our national president, darling president, Sahajanand Prasad Ji, and J.S. Lele HSG, and our brother, Ravindra Reddy Garu, and our secretary, Nandakishore, and finance secretary, Bose Garu, immediate President Browning sir, and our president-elect, Krishna Garu, and other leaders of IMA. I congratulate our team with the guidance of the national president and secretary. Today the Pulse Polio Day, and our state team, president and secretary, taken this adult vaccination and COPD with COVID, and regarding the vaccination in pregnancy and vaccination of the cancer and heart disease. The eminent speakers and the It is a good topic. Speakers are the Dr. Lokesh Garu, and our one person, Dr. Manoj, Dr. Yumdar, Dr. Asadan Madam, Dr. Parsardi, and Dr. Umar Shankar Garu. And I hope this topic will be throw light to our delegates. Definitely it is useful. As all of you know, the alert vaccination is the prevent so many deaths and during COVID. So I once again congratulate our state team under the leadership of Dr. Srinivas Raj Garu. Thank you for giving this
Thank you, Srihar Garu. Thank you. And at this juncture, I must introduce our today's moderator and also the president of the Public Health Association of the Public Health, and also SPM professor of the college, Anil Institute of Medical College in the Vijayanagaram, I think, Astigapadu, Dr. Kolli Karunamurthy Garu. Dr. Kolli Karunamurthy Garu.
Good morning, all of you.
Yeah.
Sir, our President, Dr. Raj Garu, National President and Secretary, Sahajanand ji and Leila ji, and our immediate past President, our beloved Dr. Subramanian Garu, and Dr. Srihari, President-elect Ravi Krishna Nanjala, and my close friend Nandakishore, Secretary, Subhash Chandra Bose, my closest friend, and all other dignitaries. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for such a wonderful topic. I don't want to be between the speakers and you for much time. I will take only 1 or 2 minutes. The WHO has started UIP, Universal Immunization Program, and later our India has asked for expanded program of immunization. It has to be extended not only up to 1 year, it has to be extended to the elderly people also. Adult means more than 18 years. These people constitute 60% of our population. 60% of our population. We should not neglect them. But as all of us know, we will give importance for the infants. At the same time, infancy is a part of the life. Adultship is also a part of the life. We should give equal importance for adults in equal proportion to the infants also. And the WHO Advisory Committee also recommended for adult vaccination. So now we are talking about that one. To introduce the first speaker, Dr. Lokesh Idara. We had many talks in phones. He is very much interested in India, Andhra Pradesh especially, and especially about the medical students, opportunities, career of the medical students, and the post-graduation seats available, how to expand these seats. He is very much interested, I know. He is a very good person. Now I request Dr. Lokesh Idara to start his speech. Dr. Lokesh Garu, please welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Sanit. Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Audible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Srinivas Raj Garu, and all the IMA delegates and leadership, and Dr. Sahajanand sir, and all the national IMA leadership. As you know, I've been working with IMA with so many other issues, which I'm posting on this chart box, including Niti Aayog says 100,000 PGs. So we only have 55. In the USA, for every 1 MBBS, 1.3 PG seats are there. Those 0.3 seats were coming from India and other countries back around 5,000-6,000. So India will have 50,000 less. So Niti Aayog wants to improve the 50, but question is which specialties do you want? Is ENT you want more? You want a pulmonary you want more? That's IMA need to take a task force and give a vision, which percentage. We're going to write a paper, we're going to publish soon. What is that 50,000? If you take the USA model comparing to that. And also we thank IMA from bottom of our heart, being so long, being family medicine. And now this year, diploma seats given by DNB seats, 20 seats given in one college and in Tamil Nadu, and 20 seats given in each in Rajasthan from one medical college. All are matched around 40 to 50,000. There's 1.6 lakhs students take the exam, but only 55,000 will get the PG seats. So I just want, and we just had the talk about the EMD also. We made the emergency medicine, Dr. C.V. Rao garu given a letter and presented 3 years ago at V.K. Paul's Dr. V.K. Paul sir meeting in MGR University, and that led to the mandatory emergency medicine, which is going to be today on NMC website, 605 medical colleges, 90,800 something MBBS seats. That's today's NMC website. So there's going we just wanted to. I just want to give that information with respect to all IMA leaders. So before then, I will go ahead and start my talk. Can I share the screen?
Sure.
First, I will show you, I'm on the CDC website. Whenever I need any information, I'll go to the CDC. The question is, do we need adult immunization? Why we need the immunization? Of course, 90% are for adult immunizations or vaccines. Very few are them bacterial, such as pneumococcal vaccine. So this is the if you go to Google and if you press the button CDC vaccination, you will get this one, adult immunization schedule 2022. And I'll just go faster. Here is adult age by age indications, vaccine notes. Here, of course, the list will go on. Influenza vaccination. I'll go detail a little bit more. Tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. Measles, mumps, rubella. These are all adult vaccines. They're not children alone. Varicella, of course, anger by age. Zoster, adult. HPV, adult and children too. HPV is extended up to 45 years old. And pneumococcal vaccine, hepatitis, meningococcal, especially teens and younger college, and H flu. This is the website, and we have a lot more information. So I will stop and go to my PPT. So please search CDC and vaccination. You'll get to that website, and you'll have all the information there. So before that, this is my credentials. So I was before, my passion is education and also charity. I was a chairman for Tana Foundation, and now that's doing many work in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. We have counties like districts, and I'm one of the local president before. Guntur Medical College, when I was the president, we inaugurated 30 crores of Podila project. And we proposed the MCH still pending. So I think Gymkhana wants to build all the thing. They want to build complete 50 crores one to the maternity child health center, which is government still kept pending. Former Michigan Allergy Society and currently API. So what are the vaccines? Vaccines are yearly vaccines, like a flu vaccine from age 1 all the way through pregnancy until we die, yearly flu vaccinations. Every 10 years, mostly we get diphtheria, tetanus. Of course, other vaccines will go in once a year, one time, maybe like hepatitis A, but every 10 years maybe. Preventing cancer, of course, leading these HPV, reduce mortality, pain, mainly the zoster, preventing most of the virus vaccines are mortality, mortality. So adults 50 above, maybe most of the thing adults in the USA, most of the things were adult 50 plus and 19 plus 20 and all adults. Those are the 3 divisions which we have. So flu vaccine is one of them, Tdap, tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. And COVID-19, we all know about COVID-19. I have 4th dose, so we're not going to go much into the COVID. In age 50 above, we have the shingles vaccine. That's as you know, most of us are here on the for 50 above. You can get the vaccine Shingrix in USA. I'm sure it is available in India too. pneumococcal vaccine, which is mostly 65 and older, or you have splenectomy or immunocompromised, and measles, mumps, rubella too. And they divide the 19 to 49. So everybody get the flu vaccine, Tdap, COVID-19, HPV, and MMR. In all adults, including the pregnancy, which I'm sure Anuradha Madam will explain more about the pregnancy vaccinations. So why flu vaccine? What we do in ESA flu vaccine? I've been practicing for the last 30 years. So 20 plus years, they kind of mandated. What is that means? If every year my hospital send me, I go to practice, I admit the patient in the hospital, I need to renew my hospital privileges. If I don't, then I cannot practice. So they want my flu vaccine certificate every year for the last 15, 20 years. And I just found out if I don't, I need to, when I go into that, I need to wear mask all the time. A nurse do not want a flu vaccine. They need to wear a mask 8 hours a day while they're working. So why flu vaccine? As you know, now the COVID, we are all aware, Spanish flu, which is almost 100 years ago. Since then, the flu vaccine is still there. Still, we're losing in USA itself 12,000 to 52,000 a year. So this is nothing new. And children recently, we lost 100 children in 199 children in 2019. So that's why if a flu vaccine is there every year from age 1 to almost all life. So that's what we do here, flu vaccine. And now with the COVID, probably they will mix together and yearly we'll get that. Second vaccine after 50 years is shingles. Shingles vaccine is mainly the pain. I mean, I'm sure some of us have shingles is very painful, post-herpetic neuralgia, and for many, many months. Unilateral rash, which you already know. I'm not going to go to clinical aspects of it. And USA, when I was several years ago, I got Zostavax, but they upgraded with more potent, more effective. Currently, Shingrix is what we call, is 90% effective. So even then, I'm due to get that one. Can you get, if you get the chicken pox, you should get, yes, all these people, you should get Shingrix, even if in the past you have shingles. In the past you have shingles, you can get the Shingrix vaccine, because second, it will help. Received varicella chickenpox vaccine, like my son around, I think 90s, chickenpox vaccine came. Yes, you can still get the Shingrix vaccine. There's no maximum age for getting Shingrix vaccine. Pneumococcal vaccine is if I am 65 or older, I'm supposed to get the CDC. There are 3 different variants. Initially, I think it depends on the variants. There is 3 type of PCV15. There is 15 type of types of pneumococcal they cover. This is 20 and this is 23. If you are adults, 20 is good enough. If you have 15, I think they would like to add the 23 variant vaccine, especially in the immunocompromised. The studies in cochlear implant and CSF leak also. These are the different type of pneumococcal vaccine. Initially, they came up with 23, but they found, 13, sorry, 7 are added. These 22F and 33F are the invasive pneumococcal vaccine. They're more, that's what the research going on. So mainly we're giving the PCV20. And that's everybody gets it. It's automatic. All insurances covers everybody, family doctors or primary care doctors, it's automatic. They'll offer. Actually, you don't need to. You probably know we have pharmacies here like Walgreens. We go there and they will ask you what vaccine they want, and they will. You can directly go to pharmacy. They'll get you can get all the data go into the national data file. All the vaccine we get into go to the national file, so everybody can access. I mean, healthcare providers. I want to mention a few things. I know our oncologist will go into mention more, because I have personally, we keep pushing HPV vaccine. Of course, it prevents so many cancers, especially women, the cervical, vaginal, and even men. So we recommend the vaccine is recommended for both of them. How many people getting vaccine for HPV now in India? 6%, 5 to 6%. In USA 75. Even they're paid 100% free, still 25% are not gotten. So cancer usually takes years and decades to develop. So mainly the weakened immune system such as HIV and other things, HPV will make its cancers more often. Does it prevent cancer? Yes, this study is done in India and across other countries of the globe. It prevents 90% of the cancers. How much it cost? I think it's 3,000 rupees, currently 4-valent. Now the 9-valent come, that is 30,000. I mean, sorry, 10,000. The good news, this is the statistic I said, 77,000 people dying. Gardasil is available, MSD, GlaxoSmithKline, I'll have that. We did a survey. There's a girl from a medical MBBS students did a study. 90% of MBBS students not received HPV vaccine. 90% of it. And I talked to the doctor's friend, probably the people who logged in, 80% of your children not gotten. I am to help aware and follow that information. And my kids are what, 28, 30, both are got their vaccine. And so the price is here. I'm sure most of you know, India cost is currently 3,570 per dose. If it is 9 to 14 years, you get 2 doses. If it is after 14, it's 3 doses. And the new one is around 10,000. It's a 9-valent. The good news is serum coming with, I saw in the newspapers, a cheaper version, probably, and the 4-valent, maybe they're talking about less than 1,000 rupees. So, but awareness is important. I don't think it's the money is the issue, but a lot of middle class and poor people, yes, money is also issue. So whenever we go into the CDC website, this vaccine, we can copy and the paste that I show you ahead. Of course, I will leave the pregnancy vaccination to Dr. Another madam. Allergy, I'm an allergy doctor, so vaccine could be allergies, yes. Before we thought egg is present in MMR vaccine. We used to test for egg and we used to test for MMR, and now we prove that it's not really needed. So every MMR vaccine, we just give it to them. So one question I will ask, if the baby is eating egg, if no side effects, then you can give that. Even if the side effects, MMR is okay. We don't testing them, or American Academy do not recommend any testing for egg. Flu vaccine have some egg components, some have allergic reaction. So we do test them. If you're planning to go to Africa, you'll probably get yellow fever vaccine. I mean, I got my vaccine, but unfortunately, I have not gone to Africa because of the COVID, keep things postponed. How about the COVID vaccine? Yes, there is a polyethylene glycol. We test them, and we have for last 3 years, maybe 20, 30 patients came to see me for allergies. We tested, but all of them got the vaccine without any side effects. So I'll just go ahead and stop here, and I'll take questions if you have any questions, please. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Lokesh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience, please? Dr. Lokesh is ready for answer.
And also, I'll put my email or my WhatsApp in case you want to.
Morning, sir.
Sir, Lokesh ji.
Sir, go ahead.
Lokesh garu, question adugutunnaru.
Sir, I am Dr. Manoj, sir. I think in India, we don't have much of adult vaccine centers. What is your experience in states, especially one adult vaccine center itself, and how you do that?
I don't think center is issues are because every family doctors have these vaccines. The pharmacy, every corner of the street have a pharmacies, they give vaccines. So one center will not, especially you have to, as a primary doctor, your office should have all these vaccines. We get every year flu vaccine shipped to every doctors. We give flu vaccinations, but patients awareness, acceptance, first you have to take, the doctors take it, families take it. So then you promote it, then people need to ask for it. So until then, I mean, you can deliver whichever the way you choose. The government and the physicians, is up to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the question we have.
Available, Dr. Manoj.
Yeah.
In states, it is universally available
yeah.
at every hospital.
So my question is HPV vaccine. I answered HPV vaccine. I want to like to survey. All IMA asked. I request all Andhra Pradesh, please do a survey. How many of your children, your grandchildren got the vaccine? Publish it.
Yes,
Be front.
Dr.
Because
Lokesh, it is good advice, Dr. Lokesh. Definitely we will consider it on the behalf of IMAP state. And also my request at this juncture to all the parents, especially doctor parents. So because today's theme also get your family vaccinated, especially concerned with the HPV vaccine, it is very, very crucial and also very important. So I request all the doctor parents to give their children below 18 years this vaccination, HPV vaccination. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lokesh.
Sir,
Thank
I
you.
have a question, sir.
go ahead, sir.
Sir, I'm Dr. Raghavendra. I'm consultant emergency physician. Sir, what is your comment upon the cross vaccination for the COVID booster? I'm not saying between Covaxin or Covishield. I'm saying about the vaccines which are available outside India. What if some NRIs come here and ask us for a booster dose? How do we advise them?
I think what I learned is, it's best to get any vaccine than no vaccine. So first, this situation came in like, I think Europe, their short supply Pfizer or Moderna, they give each one, even the German chancellor got each one because the supply issue. So they got 2 doses, so they're fine. So as long as you go, if the supply is not there, if you want to go ahead and get it, like now 3rd dose, any dose is better than no dose because antibody is going. Because one of the vaccine is giving 80%, 60%, other is 90%. Getting better. That's why I even got the 4th one, because Israeli study said that an immunocompromised is one. So getting any dose is better than, I don't know about one combined to other is better than other. I'm not sure about that. There's enough data out there.
Yes, sir. So thank you, sir. So we can advise the Covaxin or Covishield for any NRI to come here and ask us for a booster dose.
See, until last year, we have the flu vaccine. I've been getting 20 years flu vaccine, same method what your Covaxin made it, Covishield. There's no technology. The new technology 2-dose thing is this year in RNA technology this year. So I think getting is important.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Lokesh garu.
Namaste, sir. Japan, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. You are taking interest in our medical students. And as a global students, this one, you are the leader. And I want you to extend the same support to our medical students network also. Previously, I have seen so many research papers and you have encouraged them. And it is very nice, sir, because those are the buds of our profession. Those are the buds of the profession. We have to take care of the medical students. So I'm very much thankful to you for extending that support and for your speech.
Thanks.
This is very nice speech, sir. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch with you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Anything from IMA, Andhra Pradesh, please cooperate, sir.
Yes, sir. That's what you mentioning. What we did last year is we involved the NTR University students, IMA, and medical college faculty together. We did we have alumni of all Telugu, Andhra Pradesh. We made this research. We will promise it will happen every year, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Lokesh, for the kind extension of the research, and also APGM UC also you are sponsoring last time, 3 months back.
Yeah, we'll do every year, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much once again.
And one more thing, sir, Dr. Lokesh, sir, as per your advice, we will take the survey. We are having good research professors in our community medicine department, Dr. Krishna Babu, Dr. Devi Madhavi, Dr. Parthasarathi, Dr. Ravi Kumar, like that. There are so many people. We will take up this one, sir.
I need the results, not the talk.
Yeah. We will do it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's walk together.
Thank you.
Now, the next Dr. Parthasarathi garu.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. The next speaker is Dr. Parthasarathi, a well-known academist. He is much more interested in academics and research. He is a good teacher for the postgraduates as well as undergraduates. He is a close friend of mine. He is working in Ashram Medical College as HOD and professor. May I request my friend Dr. Parsardi to start his speech?
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr.
Parsardi, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Karnamurthy.
Thank you.
Thank you for your nice words. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank IMA AP State for giving me a wonderful opportunity on this Sunday and for giving me a convenient slot also. Good, thank you very much, everyone, Dr. Yugandhar and the President of IMA. And as you know, the theme of this webinar is a family vaccination. Really, it is a wonderful theme. So far, in India, we are interested in child immunization. Immunization means child immunization, nothing else. But of course, with this emergence of COVID, as you know, emergence of COVID, adults also started thinking about their vaccination and became popular. And of course, this topic is very apt now. And let's discuss the topic briefly for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. And let me share the PPT. So, as you all know, get your family vaccine. Of course, there are so many slides. I have habit of preparing comprehensive PPT, but I am not going to discuss each and every PPT. And so the topic is vaccination of our travelers. First of all, I'm in good confidence that everybody of IMA doctors, they know very well about the WHO website. And if you go to the WHO website and even CDC, you will find the guidance for travelers. So let's confine to WHO now. And in WHO, the guidance for travelers, and there is publication also, Travelers Guide, and which is released periodically. And in that, not only vaccines, the different precautions to be taken, and about chemoprophylaxis to be taken for each and every country has been mentioned. You can cross check now itself, just right from alphabetical, in the alphabetical order, right from A to every country, details of the country, the common diseases there, and in particular country, if it is USA, and if it's a vast country, as you know, for each state, the common diseases, what are the precautions to be taken, not only chemoprophylaxis, not only vaccines, everything has been mentioned. It is good to refer those things before planning for a travel and before advising our patients and family members, right? So far, we all practitioners know that people come to us, students particularly come to us, software people particularly, and for vaccination certificates. They get yellow fever vaccination from IPM, and about their MMR vaccine. MMR vaccine, somebody senior pediatrician would give, right? So, but now things have changed. And so many vaccines have been mentioned. And as you know, COVID-19 vaccine is must. Is must, and of course, CDC itself has made it compulsory that 5 years and above, how far it is being implemented, I don't know, because in India, very recently we got permission for 12 plus vaccination. So in CDC has recommended vaccination for 5+ also. Everyone 5+, that means 5 years and above must vaccinate for COVID. And you all know WHO approved certain vaccines like which were manufactured by Pfizer, Moderna, Janssen, AstraZeneca, Sinovac. Okay, these vaccines like Covaxin of our country. But FDA approved only few. As you know, Pfizer, Moderna, and Janssen only approved by FDA. So people planning to visit USA must be cautious about this. Okay, and you all know more than 20 diseases can be taken care of by immunization, prevented to maximum. And this is some data. So particularly about the history, if we go to the history, South Gulf countries, particularly Saudi Arabia, insisting on vaccination against polio and meningococcus, as you know very well, and different things have been mentioned here. Now, as I said already, WHO published every year of international travel and health vaccination requirements and health advice. But unfortunately, when I had referred, it was updated just 2 years ago, but not off late, no recent update. So that's why I've gone to CDC website, and there I found the levels, watch levels 1 to 3. They give the travelers must go through the website and about their guidance. There they can find watch level 1, 2, 3 like that. So watch level 1 means it is in green color, where just you can practice usual precautions. Whereas yellow means it is watch level 2, where it is alert level. Okay, practice some enhanced precautions. And level 3, which is depicted in red color, avoid all non-essential travel. That means it shows the seriousness of the problem. And so there are basically some vaccines must for every country, and some for special situations. Okay, so just to go through the list of it. And so as per IAP Guidebook of Immunization 2019 for our travelers, so you can see some routine vaccinations like against diphtheria, hepatitis B, Haemophilus influenza type B, seasonal influenza, measles, mumps, pertussis, rubella, pneumococcal disease, poliomyelitis, rotavirus, tuberculosis, tetanus, varicella. So these are routine vaccination. These come under routine vaccination, and you all know that. So these vaccines are to be taken at least 10 days before. Many vaccines to be taken 10 days before. As you know, yellow fever, 10 days before, no doubt about that. And if it is a rabies vaccine, it should be taken 3 weeks prior. Please make a note. If it is a rabies vaccine, one has to take 3 weeks prior. And the cholera also 10 days prior. Even meningococcus also 10 days. As I told you, meningococcus is must for the Hajj pilgrims of Saudi Arabia. And so this period is also important. And about cholera, typhoid. Let's talk about typhoid first. Typhoid, as you know, it is TY vaccine, TY21, very popular oral vaccine. 3 doses or 4 doses. Internationally, it is 4 doses, whereas in India it is 3 doses. One has to be repeated 3 years. And even it is taken, so better take at least 1 or 2 shots. So that means 1 or 2 doses 10 days before. Okay. And about hepatitis A. Hepatitis A, as you know, the most common cause of viral hepatitis in the world, that means globally. And you know, we need 2 doses. We need 2 doses with at least 6 months apart. And at least before travel, one has to get 1 dose. Please remember. And particularly 6 to 11 months old also. 6 to 11 months old also should get at least 1 dose. Okay. My topic is not adult vaccinations. Please remember, it is only vaccination for travelers, right? So I'm talking about both the pediatric and adult group. And so routine vaccinations, see, it is not only vaccination before travel. If the routine vaccination is strengthened, routine vaccination, that means regular vaccination is strengthened, as my previous speaker highlighted, if adult vaccination also given importance in these developing countries and underdeveloped countries at par with the developed countries like US and UK, there is no much necessity for vaccination before travel, at least excluding 1 or 2 vaccines. Please remember that. And so if you talk about these vaccines independently or individually, it is diphtheria, as already I mentioned. DPT vaccine still can be given, being manufactured can be given, and yeah, and of course you know about pneumococci, and it is a very common agent causing community acquired pneumonia, 40% up to. And though poliomyelitis has been eliminated from many countries, still it is safe because very recently, just 1 week ago, we found another case in Africa. So it has not been eradicated. Please remember, eliminated only from many countries, right? And a rotavirus vaccine, very important for children particularly, because it is the most common cause of viral diarrhea. And that is, if DPT or a pentavalent, as you know, it is given regularly. Tetanus once in 5 years. Once in 5 years will be enough. And if still not sure about the received doses, better take 1 shot. And measles, particularly for children, you must remember that now we are giving MR vaccine under the program and MMR as per IAP. But if has to be given, it has to be given early also. MMR vaccine 1 shot even before completion of infancy. That means around 9 months. Please remember. And for selective use of travelers, selective depending on the area where they are going, and it is hepatitis C, because we have to think of, as I told you, if you refer the WHO guidelines and even CDC guidelines, you will very clearly understand what are the predominant diseases in these countries and particularly states of these countries. And if somebody is visiting a state with high prevalence of rabies, one has to take the vaccine before pre-exposure vaccine. As you know, it is a 0721 schedule. As you know, pre-exposure is 0721 intramuscular. Okay, so and at the same time 3 weeks before. So that means 21, the last one must be completed 3 weeks before. And Japanese encephalitis, particularly a problem of Western Pacific countries, like as you know, all Mongolian countries, Japanese encephalitis is a problem. And you know that in India, Japanese encephalitis is a problem of so in India, is it visible? If it is visible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. In India, you all know that Japanese encephalitis is a problem of children, but in Western Pacific countries, it is a problem of adults also, because of complete vaccination of children. The virus has changed its nature and started affecting adults. So, Western Pacific countries, when you are planning to visit, be cautious about Japanese encephalitis also, right? And already I told you about country-specific vaccines, the dengue, focus, and oral polio vaccines, right? And yes, so many of you are aware that before just a minute, before applying for visa, there will be camps under oral polio vaccine camps conducted in or near Mass in India. So they will be receiving OPV, and that certificate is must for that. And yellow fever vaccine, as you know, it is international vaccine, and particularly the countries which you are visiting, like Latin American countries and some parts of South America. Yes, right. So LFR vaccination was important. And I would like to talk about a few important countries. So many of our doctors have the habit of visiting some countries, nearby countries on vacation, like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. So just I'll give a list of vaccines. Please make a note. So if it is covered in regular vaccination program, okay. If not, better to take extra jabs, right? So Thailand, you know very well, of late tourism to Thailand increased very much, and the diseases to be taken care of are varicella, right? DPT, influenza, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, shingles, hepatitis A, Japanese encephalitis already I mentioned, rabies, typhoid, yellow fever also, right? And of course, I need not specially mention about COVID-19. And Singapore, coming to Singapore, varicella, DPT, influenza, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, shingles, these are common for all these countries. And hepatitis A and B are very important. Typhoid and COVID-19 and yellow fever also. And coming to Malaysia, just 5 minutes maximum, I would finish my topic. So Malaysia, varicella, DPT, influenza. As you know, influenza vaccine to be repeated every year. Influenza vaccine, it is a yearly vaccine, as you know. And MMR, polio, shingles vaccine, a little costly vaccine, as you know, 7,000 to 8,000 rupees. But it is better to take because already my previous speaker shown an image and how painful it would be. And it is reactivation, nothing but reactivation, as you know. And hepatitis A, B, Japanese encephalitis, rabies, typhoid, yellow fever. And Saudi Arabia, another country, Hajj pilgrimage. As you know, apart from the routine diseases to be taken care of with vaccines like varicella vaccine, DPT, influenza, MMR, polio, and hepatitis A, B, rabies. Rabies also common. So it is surprising to me also when I have gone through. And typhoid and yellow fever. Okay. And meningococcal meningitis, as I have said already. And many students, they pursue medicine in China. Apart from the routine diseases and vaccines I have already mentioned. Additional are hepatitis B, A, Japanese encephalitis, rabies, typhoid, and yellow fever. Hope you understood the importance of the vaccines while visiting or planning for these countries. I visit, right? And already this one about the vaccines. So as I told you already, it is not only adult vaccine I'm talking about. It is my topic is vaccination for travelers. So let's once again go through this slide, which was depicted by my previous speaker. So you can see, yes, coming to adult vaccines. First, we will start retrospectively. You know about pneumococcal vaccines for adults. So that means what I want to convey here is routine vaccination is important. If it is given, then you think about additional vaccines to be taken before planning for a travel. So adult vaccines, as you know, it starts from 18 years, as our moderator mentioned already. But particularly elderly vaccines. Let's finish elderly vaccines. 50 plus. Again, 50 plus, above 65. It is pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine that is preferred. Pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine that is preferred, and shingles vaccine also, as you know. And coming to 50 and between 50 and 65, it is pneumococcal conjugate vaccine that is preferred, and it is as you know, polysaccharide vaccine for 65 plus and 23, and this is a conjugate vaccine 13 between 50 and 65, and apart from shingles vaccine. Coming to below ages, as you know, 19 to 26, 27 to 49, which are sexually active, particularly 19 to 26 and mid 30s, that means 35, sexually active. HPV is very important. HPV vaccine is very important. As you know, 3 doses are given internationally. 3 doses are recommended with 2 months, 0 to 6. As you know, 0 to 6, it is scheduled recommended internationally. And of course, Gardasil is preferred. Gardasil is preferred to Cervarix or any other similar kind of vaccine which is equal to Gardasil, because it is not only about against virus HPV strains causing cervical cancers. It is about warts also. So one thing one has to accept that foreign tours for people, affluent societies are meant for so many things. So be cautious, and it is for our personal care also, not only about our patients and friends. And the rest of the things already have been highlighted. Uh, Hepatitis C, already I told you. 6 months apart, 2 doses recommended at least 6 months apart. Let's proceed. And hepatitis B, I need not tell 016 dose, and not vaccinated, at least one dose to be taken before 2 weeks at least. So these are about our travel health resources and CDC Yellow Book and WHO Green Books, periodically updated. And my conclusion is travel vaccination for travel purpose means it's not only before travel, not only when you plan for travel. So now world has become a small village. And we all have experienced in the COVID-19 SARS coronavirus, particularly about the third wave when Omicron. When we heard about Omicron, we thought that it would take some time, but within 1 month, the entire third wave in India also has been completed. Globally, third wave has completed within 1 month. So that is the rapidness of the virus present strains, and so future, we have to be cautious, not only about this is not the end. One has to remember that as a public health expert, I would like to tell you and convey everyone that it is not the end. With the global warming, and the changing scenario, and more transport and irresponsibility, pollution, and of course, a commitment always to be posted in developing world, as you know. So more and more diseases are going to affect global population. So regular vaccination, strengthening of routine vaccination. Routine vaccination is important, not only for children, not only for adolescents, and even for adults. So it is as somebody, as our previous speakers highlighted the importance of the adult vaccination centers. Yes, it is must. It is not only children vaccination, adult vaccination centers also must be there in every town, every city, and supported by government. So if it happens so, vaccination will be covered, and many people, more than 90% at least, more than 90%, if not 100%, would be protected from diseases. And if at all they have to visit, they have to go through the website which I have mentioned already, and just find out the common and prevalent diseases there, and take precautions and additional vaccines if any. So that's all from my side. And thank you. And some important guidelines before visiting IPM I have mentioned here. You can go through them later when you need convenient time. That's all, Dr. Karunamurthy, and hope I have given minimal information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Parsardi, for your good elaborated and illustrated speech. As our previous speaker, Dr. Lokesh, has pointed out, let us take up some survey about the immunization. You are having good PGs and UGs also. The students of ashram are very good. You can take them into consideration and make some surveys.
Let's plan.
Next, we will plan it. Thank you very much, Dr. Parsardi.
Thank you very much.
Any questions from the audience, please? Questions or suggestions? Please raise your hand, they will connect. Any questions, please? Yellow fever vaccine, where is it available, Dr. Parsarthi? Though we know, it should be known to
For
all.
people, for people, it is Institute of Preventive Medicine, as you know. Institute of Preventive Medicine.
That is Hyderabad. In Andhra Pradesh, is it available?
They have started a center in our hospital campus.
Okay.
What I heard was they have started in our government hospital campus.
Government Hospital, Vijayawada?
Yes.
And this airport, Visakhapatnam also is having, I think.
So maybe.
Airport, Visakhapatnam.
Maybe.
Any questions, please?
Murali,
please.
Having. But Visakhapatnam Port Trust, they are doing this yellow fever.
Yeah.
Seaport.
Seaport. Yes, sir. Sakarala, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This was started a couple of years ago, as you know, in AP.
Not couple of years, about 40 years back I took from Seaport.
Is
and
it for
again
everyone?
about 8 years back I have taken again.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about that one. So is it for everyone? Everybody can have access to Seaport center?
Not everyone. You should show a valid thing that you are going to the endemic areas.
Okay, right. It is for general public or not? That's what I'm asking. Because so far, had it been to every person in the AP, in the state, people would have gone to Vizag only. But many people travel to
Hyderabad.
Narayanguda, IPM Narayanguda so far for many decades and got the job. So that's why I'm asking, is it for everyone or not? Okay.
No, it is for everyone who wants to go to the endemic areas of Africa. Okay. Anybody can go and take there. Okay. They will inject, they will note down everything. They will
and there is
see
specified
the
fees is also there, I think.
So
previously there was no fees, and nowadays they are collecting some fees.
Yeah.
Okay. Many of us are not aware about that, and that's why so far, and before bifurcation, we used to advise people to go to IPM Hyderabad for get the vaccination done. And
my
now,
first vaccine was taken in 1977.
Okay, good.
And back in 2011, I have taken again.
Good. That's why publicity is needed. Publicity is needed. So, it's not, so being a public health person also, I am not aware that there is a vaccination for yellow fever in Vizag. So I thought that it started only after bifurcation in the capital area.
No.
So, okay, very good information. Thank you. And I think it is over.
Any questions, please?
The next speaker.
You can share any questions with Dr. Parsarthi later also. Let us proceed with the next speaker. Another gem from Ashram Medical College as a professor and HOD of pulmonology, nodal officer for COVID for a long time. Along with me, I was the nodal officer for Gayatri Medical College. In the same way, he worked as a nodal officer, and he is a very good academician and good doctor. Now, may I ask Dr. Yogandhar to start his speech?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, sir, Dr. Karnamurthy garu, for your introduction, and also the IMA Elur and IMA, all the IMA leaders, especially Dr. Srinivas Raju garu, who has given this responsibility to talk a few words on COPD vaccination and also COVID vaccination. So mine is a double job, so I'll try to be a little bit fast, and I'll concentrate on whatever is important. So before going, I just want to, so the topic today is COPD and vaccination. So brief 1 or 2 slides about COPD, because all are not pulmonologists here. So there is a vast varied field of doctors here. So, and then 1 or 2 words about vaccination before we go to the actual vaccines. So it is a preventable, treatable, and irreversible disease. That is the most important thing, irreversible disease. And of course, several factors play a role, characterized by significant exposure to noxious stimuli. Several comorbidities influence the mortality and morbidity of COPD. That's the only thing I wanted to tell. And before going to the vaccines,
This is the burden, global burden. See, there are about 400 million COPD cases in 2010 itself. And you can see by 2030, 4.5 million COPD related deaths. So that is the burden of the COPD today. It's a huge burden. So that's why we need to know about this. And what is there? COPD, you can see all killers. Which are all the killers of all the humans? No, you have the ischemic heart disease first, coronary vascular disease, then lower respiratory infections. So COPD is somewhere 5th and 6th. Now what happened? It has gone from 6th to 3rd now. So COPD is now the 3rd largest killer by 2020. So you can imagine the amount of mortality it's causing. And then you see in India, what is happening? So by 1971, there are about 6.5 million cases. 2011, the burden has almost doubled in 4 decades. And there are about 30 million people suffer from COPD in India. 30 million people COPDs in India itself. So now briefly about what is vaccination. So is a immune system is made to mount. Immunization is different from vaccination. The process of inoculation is vaccination, whereas the immunization is the process where your immune system is made to mount a response against various infectious agents by inoculating certain agents. So the vaccination can be effective or ineffective depending on whether immunity is induced or not. That also you have to remember. And then vaccines could be live attenuated, and of course they can be fragments or microbes or products like toxides also. And then of course there is what is the concept of active immunity and passive immunity. The best example of passive immunity is the transplacental transfer of antibodies from the mother to the child during early pregnancy. Active immunity is what we are all implementing today. It has got long-lasting immunologic memory, and reinfection results in a response that is greater in magnitude to the original one. So antibodies are formed by the individual in active immunity, and thus it may be dose dependent, depending on the dose or the magnitude of the infection. So that is whereas passive immunity is short lasting. Then coming to vaccination for stable COPD. Now this is there is one body called as the GOLD, the Global Initiative for COPD, chronic obstructive lung disease. This is a body which governs and which forms the guidelines for COPD patients. This is the latest recommendation from COPD. What all vaccines to be given from by GOLD guidelines in COPD. Influenza vaccination, one. Then SARS-CoV has also been recommended. See, this is the latest. So the 2021 ending, and it is published in February 2022. And then 23-valent polysaccharide vaccine for pneumococcal in age less than 65 years and with FEV1 less than 40%. And in general population, more 65 years of age, the 13-valent PCV, what is called as a Prevnar, and the Tdap against protection against whooping cough for all patients who have not received the vaccination, and also zoster vaccine. So we have a recommendation, new recommendation for COVID. We have recommendations for polysaccharide pneumococcal vaccine in less than 65 years. Above 65 years, it is a conjugate vaccine, and then we have a vaccine recommendation for Tdap as well as for zoster vaccination. Then, what is influenza? Influenza-like illness is now there is a definition for that, and of course, all fevers, especially during the flu season, fever more than 101.5 degrees, that is 38.6, with one of the following coughs. So the COVID also falls among this influenza-like illness. So you have a fever, sore throat, cough, myalgia, all these things, that is an influenza-like illness. So I'm just going through I'm just introducing to what is happening. What is influenza? How do you vaccinate? So we'll deal with influenza first. So since influenza is an important thing now, the season is going on. So we have, it is an acute viral infection, spreads from person to person. If everyone knows, there are 3 categories of flu viruses, A, B, C, and C. A, B, and C. Of course, A and B are most important. Annual epidemics occur during winter in the northern hemisphere. It circulates in every age group. It is a serious health problem and results in serious illness, including respiratory failure and ARDS in all age groups, and deaths in high-risk population. The epidemics result in increased pressure on the health services, and then vaccination is the most effective ways, one of the most effective ways to prevent infection. So these are the facts about influenza. So influenza is not a simple illness. It can cause deaths. It can cause severe illness in the especially the high-risk groups, and it's AB are most prevalent. And of course, person-to-person transmission is there. And then the impact of influenza at a personal level. So healthy people can develop severe disease. That is also important. Loss of earnings, then complications include Guillain-Barré syndrome, pneumonia, which is not very common GBS, but still it can occur. Pregnant women are at increased risk, and then it can affect healthcare workers, including, and of course, indirectly also the elderly patients and young children. Then how do you prevent? So coming to influenza, how do you prevent? There is a combination of seasonal vaccination as well as influenza control measures. So you have a combination of vaccines and control measures. So our topic today is vaccination. So vaccination can reduce the incidence of serious illness requiring, that is severe lower respiratory infection requiring hospitalization and deaths in COPD patients. Our population-based study showed that the vaccination of influenza in several years in COPD, especially in also in older age groups, and also protect from IHD also, ischemic heart disease. So a study, adverse effects of this vaccination are mild and transient. Okay. Then seasonal influenza vaccine, whom is it recommended for? At high risk populations as early as possible before the October starts, before the season, and for healthcare workers. Who are the high risk people? Those who are aged above 65 and above, pregnant females, and then long-term health conditions, that is cardiac, lung, and renal disease, those who work in healthcare settings, those who are giving care for others, healthcare givers, and then nursing home, those who work in long-term facilities, health and nursing homes, and those who come in contact with the animals, animal husbandry and other things. Then, so how will just a brief word on the history of vaccination, flu vaccine, how it has developed. 1933, they isolated the flu virus. In the 40s, the flu vaccine got developed. In the 60s, the first vaccine was licensed. The trivalent vaccine came into being in the late 70s, and then in the early part of the second decade of this century, 2012, we had the first quadrivalent vaccine. Now, I just briefly will explain what is meant by a trivalent and what is meant by a quadrivalent vaccine. So here it is. So so here it is. The quadrivalent vaccine is one. So the trivalent vaccine and the quadrivalent vaccine, you see the trivalent vaccine, different types of vaccines are there. You have a trivalent flu zone vaccine, that is the quadrivalent IM based vaccine. Then you have the high dose vaccines also, which are available in separate pharmacies. Intradermal is there, quadrivalent. Then you have the intranasal called as the flu mist, and we have, of course, the flu block, that is the recombinant vaccine. Now, the quadrivalent vaccine is the one which protects against the both the type A and the type B, both lineages. The trivalent will protect against A, B, both the type A and B Victoria lineage, whereas the quadrivalent will protect against the B Yamagata also. That means the trivalent, as the name indicates, will protect against 2 A's and 1 B, that is the Victoria, whereas the quadrivalent will protect against 2 A's and 2 B's, that is including the Yamagata lineage of the B group of flu vaccines. And then we have the newer one called as the Sanofi Pasteur quadrivalent split variant vaccine, which is egg-based, but is also recommended for the egg allergy patients. So these are the different types of standard quadrivalent vaccines available. And then we have the quadrivalent cell-based, we have the influenza shots, we have the recombinant vaccines, and then we have the high-dose influenza and the live attenuated vaccines. I don't want to go into the details of each of them. Then, how are vaccines made? Of course, the flu, I don't want to go into again the details. Egg-based vaccines can be either inactivated or live attenuated, which is intranasal. Cell-based vaccines require less eggs and quicker manufacturing time. That is a newer technology, cell-based. So they are they are grown in the cultured mammalian cells. Now is the latest generation recombinant vaccines, which are 100% egg-free. So because those who are allergic to eggs, it is egg-free, so they can be given the recombinant flu vaccines available since 2013. Then, why annual vaccination? So why again? So flu is recommended annually. Why is recommended annually? Influenza viruses keep changing, the antigenic shift and drift. I don't want to explain all those things. The influenza, there is an antigenic shift and antigenic drift, by which there is a change in the genetic nature of the virus. So which enables it to to continue the infect to this thing. So influenza viruses are monitored by WHO surveillance laboratories. WHO recommends strains are included in each year's every new seasonal vaccine, and seasonal flu vaccine formulated to match circulating strains. That is important. So there is every new vaccine to match the circulating strains, and new vaccines incorporated every year. That's why we have to recommend every year. And then Does the vaccine cause flu? No, it doesn't cause, because there are several reasons for that. The batches are tested and the vaccines are inactivated. Studies have shown that flu vaccines are safe, and then vaccines start to work within 2 weeks. And then the vaccines start in 2 weeks, and sometimes the people become unwell during this period because of maybe cross infection with other circulating viruses. So that's why the symptoms may be there. And what are the side effects? Of course, the only thing is, you can see here, local reactions 15 to 20%, small soreness at the injection site, fever and malaise not common and resolve spontaneously within 1 to 2 days. And immediate allergic reactions are very rare, less than 1 in a million. And neurological reactions like the GB syndrome are also even rarer, less than 1 in 10 million. So they can occur, but very rare side effects. So commonly there's a local one, and the other is fever and malaise, which resolves spontaneously or with symptomatic treatment. What are the contraindications? Of course, anaphylaxis to a previous dose of influenza or any other vaccine and its constituents. And then, of course, the precautions to be taken, especially in acute febrile illness. If you have any acute febrile illness, defer the vaccination till the illness is over. And then those with egg allergy, especially to egg anaphylaxis or egg allergies, we can go for the newer vaccines. Confirmed egg allergy or egg anaphylaxis can be given the ovalbumin content containing less than 0.1% MCM micrograms per dose. That is a HSC flu vaccine 2019-20. Addition to whether the vaccine in the primary care setting in the hospital is also based on previous history of allergy or asthma or some other conditions which tend to require monitoring. And then pregnancy, of course, an important thing. A pregnant woman at increased risk of influenza. Healthcare pregnant workers should receive influenza vaccine irrespective of the state, whichever stage of pregnancy they are in. It is routinely recommended in USA and other countries. And then, of course, those who are pregnant through 2 seasons have to receive both 2 shots of the vaccine, in both, 1 in each season. So either those are pregnant in the starting pregnancy in the late in the year, maybe they should receive that year's vaccine as well as next year's flu dose vaccine also. So any stage of pregnancy is not a problem. And then what about the truths? The vaccination protection starts about 2 weeks after the injection. Decreases the complications, including hospitalization and severe illnesses, including ARDS and Guillain-Barré syndrome. But what the vaccine does not produce is, it does not protect from other viral infections, including the human metapneumovirus or the other common colds or the respiratory syncytial virus and other viruses. Most data do not support any risk or show very little risk of GBS following the vaccination. The chances of GBS are more after the illness rather than after the vaccination. So most data suggest that the risk of GBS is more due to the illness, not due to the vaccination. And then vaccine effectiveness, of course, I don't want to, it's roughly equal to around 30 to 60%. For H2 and 3, it is 33% with a confidence interval of 26 to 31. H1N1, it is higher, 61%. And for the B lineages, it is 54%. What are the various effectiveness in various age groups? Risk age group, 50-60% effective in hospitalization among elderly patients. So it prevents hospitalization more than 50%. 80% protection against death in elderly. And then international data suggests that the influenza in more than 65 years of age, it's got 37% protection against this flu vaccination. So there is advisory committee on immunization recommends flu vaccine for all age groups above 6 months and older, with the age appropriate vaccine, including the inactivated, live attenuated, or the nasal spray. Many more vaccine options are available, as I've already discussed. What is the best time to get vaccinated? Of course, the flu season starts to peak in October, November. So September and October is the best time. Ideally, everyone should, whoever is wanting to get vaccinated, should complete the vaccination by October. But however, someone who has missed the date, or who is not possible, for whom it's not possible, they can continue to get vaccinated till February, because the vaccine season lasts till peak is up till February also, and it may last up to even sometimes April, May. So best time is September, October, maybe till late in the year, or maybe even in the early next year. So additional considerations: those who are 65 and above should get vaccinated earlier, because should not get this. So should defer it so that it be around September, October, because the protection rate decreases with the time. Children, as soon as the vaccine becomes available in July or August, that is okay. Early vaccination for those in the third trimester of pregnancy, because this can protect the infants also. So third trimester and children early, those who are above 65 years of age, a little bit later in the year. Then, so they have dealt with the various aspects of vaccination in the various influenza vaccine and about COPD and influenza. Now we'll talk about pneumococcal disease and its effects and how to prevent the vaccination, how to prevent the disease by vaccinating. So there is invasive pulmonary and non-invasive, invasive pneumococcal and non-invasive disease in the pneumococcal disease caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. The invasive disease includes bacteremia, of course, meningitis and the bacterial pneumonia, out of which the bacterial pneumonia is most common clinical presentation of invasive disease. You can see the more than 1 lakh hospitalizations of pneumococcal pneumonia in 2017 in the United States itself. No data exactly in India. And then you can see the number of deaths, more than 3,000 deaths due to invasive pneumococcal disease, including pneumonia and bacteremia, but most common is pneumococcal pneumonia. And then the conditions which it is close to pneumococcal disease, of course, we have alcoholism, then we have chronic heart, lung, and liver disease, then we have cigarette smoking, and then CSF, spinal leak, cochlear implants, diabetes mellitus, important risk factor missed often. Diabetes is important risk factor for many things, including this pneumococcal disease. And then this is what happened after vaccination with pneumococcus. You see the in United States between 98 to 2017. So before the vaccination was introduced in children, what is the cases per lakh population, and after the vaccination was introduced in children, the cases came down, and then after it was introduced in adults above 65 years of age, in children also by 2007, you can see how much drastic change. The incidence has come down from more than 60 to 70 to less than 10 per lakh population. Then conditions which predispose to immunocompromised conditions predispose to pneumococcal disease include your CRF and nephrotic syndrome, acquired or congenital asthenia, then have immune deficiency disorders. We have malignancies including lymphoreticular, leukemias and other things. We have HIV, we have iatrogenic immunosuppression including organ transplant, chronic corticosteroids, and then we have sickle cell disease and other hemoglobinopathies and solid organ transplants. So we have raised host of conditions which can predispose to pneumococcal pneumonia, especially in immunocompromising conditions. Then coming to the vaccination proper in pneumococcal vaccination. So we have basically two types of vaccines. One is the polysaccharide, the other is the conjugate vaccine. So the polysaccharide vaccine, of course, you can see the polysaccharide vaccine is being how it stimulates. So in infants and toddlers is not stimulating this thing. Whereas in the conjugate vaccine, it is there almost all the age groups. And then of course, antibodies are long lasting, either both of the same thing. And then we have the herd immunity. The conjugate vaccine has a better effect on the herd immunity and also with the replacement strains. Then we have these are the various pneumococcal vaccines available from PCV7 to PCV20. That means it's nothing but the number of pneumococcal strains which the vaccine is protective against. So PCV7 means the 7 important strains. PCV20 means 20 important strains of pneumococcal. More than 100 are there, out of which the vaccine is protective. The other one is the standard pneumovax 23 or the PSV 23. These are the various strains which it is effective against. Then we have the host range of conditions where you have immunocompetent persons. I told you the various diabetes and all these things. Immunocompromised person, including the asplenia and the hemoglobinopathies, and the other chronic immunosuppressed conditions, including the malignancies and organ transplants and HIV. And of course, except the cochlear and the CSF leak, the vaccines, both these vaccines are recommended in all the age groups. And then of course we have the various conditions. We have of course what to do. This I'm not going through. And we are here what has the person been previously vaccinated. So if yes, what to do, and if no, what to do. So again, this is how the flow chart goes. There are newer pneumococcal vaccines. Then we have the PCV 15 and 20. This one are approved in adults only, not in children. Not in children. They are not approved by FDA for children. And then protection serotype coverage, more than 100 serotypes are there. I told you this PSV, the newer ones are protective against the common serotypes. So we have the PCV 13, which is the older one, and now the newer ones are the 15 and 20. CDC recommends conjugate vaccine for all who are increased risk of pneumococcal disease, either because of their age or because of the underlying medical conditions which I have discussed. The adults can receive the newer vaccines also, not the children. And then if it is the minimum age interval for vaccination, if the patient is already received PCV 15 or 13 is 1 year. If the patient is immunocompromised, 8 weeks, after 8 weeks, they can be considered for revaccination, or either for a cochlear or a CSF leak. 8 weeks interval is enough. Whereas person is already received a conjugate vaccine, polysaccharide vaccine, then a 1 year interval is recommended. And then these are the those who are previously received the PCV or the PSV, then what we can do. So that is they may receive, those who have received already PSV 23, haven't received PCV, may receive either the PCV 15 or 20 and 1 year, after 1 year gap. If PCV 15 is administered, additional PPSV is not indicated. That is the important thing. Then coming to the COVID vaccine, a brief word on COVID vaccination. So I've been asked to just talk about a few words about this also. So I'll just briefly talk about what are the vaccines generally, how the vaccine has been developed, what are the vaccines available worldwide, and what are the vaccines available in India approved till now. So how does the COVID vaccination has really a revelation in terms of what happened, our capability of your medicine, medical and the engineering, so biomedical research and everything. So what was the traditional vaccines development stages? So we had a classical vaccine which were passed through all these stages: preclinical stage, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and 4, which were requiring more than 5 years, at least 1 to 2 years for each phase. Okay. But what happened to the COVID? Almost there is no time lost in the preclinical stage. There was not much of animal testing. Then we had phase 1, which only lasted for 6 months, and then fast track to phase 2, which is a few hundred volunteers for 6 months. No phase 3s because we don't have the time. So phase 3, which is on thousands of volunteers, was not done because of the paucity of time. And approval happened within months, and then months, within less than a year, millions and billions are vaccinated. So that is the difference. That is how fast tracked and how fast we could develop, and it's really a miracle, modern miracle, how we could achieve all these things within a span of less than 1.5 years. So the stages of vaccine trials, I told you, the preclinical stage, assess the safety, the ability to produce an immune response are assessed. In the phase 1 stage, healthy volunteers less than 100. And is used to whether test the safety and extent of response. In the phase 2, it is assess the mainly more than 100 volunteers and assess the efficacy of the vaccine against artificial infection and clinical disease, and also the side effects. In phase 3, large scale, in many hundreds and thousands, it is used mainly to evaluate the disease under natural conditions and also the unwanted side effects. The phase 3 has been, of course, because the paucity of time, has been skipped because during the COVID. Now, what are the various vaccines platforms for COVID? So it is a type of component viral vaccine. So we have various protein subunit, the viral-like particles. We have the DNA-based, RNA-based. We have the vector-based. So we have the protein or the protein subunit. We have the DNA or RNA-based, and we have the vector-based. And also the whole virus, whether it is live attenuated or inactivated. So of course, the protein subunit means the parts of the protein is purified. And the viral subunit means it mimics the structure of the virus, no genetic material. DNA, of course, which the mRNA which which is used to give instructions. And of course, the vector-based, either it is replicating in the host or non-replicating, which will copy itself or not. And it contains the genetic material packaged in the virus. So that is how the basic platforms are there. You have the protein subunit, we have the viral-like particles, we have the DNA or RNA-based, and we have the vector-based, or we have the whole virus which is activated or live attenuated. Inactivated or live attenuated. Then these are the host various various viruses, the various types of COVID vaccines which are available, and with the in comparison with the other types of viruses which are there, COVID, which examples. For example, inactivated virus in addition to COVID, they are hepatitis A and polio virus, live attenuated. There is measles, mumps, everyone knows. I don't want to go into the details. Then there is a joint task force in every country. In India also, there was a task force which started in April. And of course, the two major vaccines, the Pfizer Biotech vaccine and the AstraZeneca. Internationally, these were the two major vaccines initially. Then what are the various vaccines which are approved in India till now? Okay, so in India there are 10 vaccines approved in India till now, till date, as on February. So Serum Institute of India, which is the Covax, approved in 13 countries. The biological E protein approved in 1 country, Corbevax. Then in India itself, then the DNA vaccine, Zydeco just recently received approval. Zycovir, Moderna Spikevax, approved in 85 countries. The Gamaleya vaccine, that is the Sputnik Light and the Sputnik V, approved in more than 25 and 75 countries. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is the non-replicating viral vector vaccines, approved in 106 countries. And then we have the non-replicating Vaxzevria, which is more than, that is the Oxford vaccine. The so-called, the Oxford vaccine is what is manufactured by the Serum Institute of India as Covishield, which is the same base formulation, approved in 58 countries, and the Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, which received approval in 13 countries. So I couldn't find time to fit in more information in this short time. So I think I've covered what all things have been scribed to me. I think I'm welcome to questions, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Yugandhar. Thank you very much.
I hope I was audible, and then I was able to get into your brains to some extent at least, sir. And the audience are welcome.
Not to some, to more extent.
Thank you, sir. Sir, anyone?
Dr. Yugandhar, a small doubt for me.
That's it.
With the advent of this COVID,
sir,
what about the incidence of tuberculosis or respiratory diseases?
Yes,
what
sir.
I mean is,
yes, the good thing, sir. That
because we are using mask,
yes,
has the incidence came down?
Sir, there are studies
cases
going on. There are studies going on, sir. But to whatever, two things, sir. One is that there was a positive effect and the negative effect.
Yeah.
Definitely, the positive effect is the mask has brought about some change in spread in reducing the spread of the disease, because it spreads by droplet, same thing. But in the lockdown and in the first phase of the first wave of corona, that is during the March, April 2022 up to August, October, September, 6 months, there was much time lost in the TB services, because there was a national-wide lockdown. People and the healthcare facilities were not approachable. People were not having a chance to approach. So many people went undiagnosed, and they approached the health system and the diagnosis, everything, because of the more concentration on COVID. The things have shifted towards COVID. So the diagnosis part has been reduced. So that has made things a little bit more complicated. But of course, there is a definite change in the attitude, and the chances of infection has come down. I think the mask is definitely, if it is continued, there's a definite chance that the spread of TB might come down. But people seeking the source, the what you call health services support, and coming to the doctors as a part of the has come down, because either they are afraid or because of lack of availability or whatever. So that's how the diagnosis and the treatment part has also delayed nationwide. That is the thing.
There is a small doubt at the corner of my mind.
Tell me.
As this COVID has reduced the immunity,
yes,
is there any chance of increasing the incidence of TB or pulmonary diseases?
No, sir. That also has immunity there. We have seen a few cases of COVID pulmonary TB. Yes, definitely there is increase, but not to the extent to be worried about. There is a definite change. There is definite chance that COVID has reduced the immunity and the person contacts infections, but not to the extent that we have been worried. So there is a definite thing, but it's not as still studies are going on. I am not aware to any such study where there is showing a definite increase in trend towards tuberculosis infection.
I think our Dr. NTR University of Health Sciences is providing some fund for this research for the medical students.
Yes,
can we extend this for our medical students network?
Yes, that would be a definite point to consider, and then good point to start up for a studies. Definitely.
Thank you.
Questions are welcome.
Audience, any viewers, please. Any doubts, please?
I thank Dr. Srinivas Raju Garu, Dr. Karnamurthy Garu, the other state and national IMA members for giving this opportunity. It's a wonderful topic, and I enjoyed this thing, and hope all of you have taken some points of note, at least from this topic.
Please raise your hands who are having any doubt or want to talk to Dr. Yugandhar. Viewers, please. You can chat or you can
Sure, sir.
talk
Welcome.
with him in later also. Now, let us go to our capital of education. Capital of education, the Guntur. From Guntur, I invite Dr. Anuradha Madam, the famous obstetrician and gynecologist, to throw some light on the vulnerable group and the most important group of people, that is pregnancy and infancy.
Pardon me, the capital of education has shifted from Guntur to Vijayawada in the recent past, about 2 decades back. Please do note.
Yeah. Now I am not considering Guntur as one. Guntur and Vijayawada, these are all.
Can you talk about both of them as Amaravati?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is the capital. That's
Thank
all.
you. It would be the capital also.
Thank you. For that sake, I am insisting on that. For that
Thank
sake.
you, Karnamurthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Dr. Anuradha Madam to start her speech?
Thank you, IMA Group, for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, clearly audible, madam.
Yeah. So now we'll go to the next topic, pregnancy and vaccination.
Welcome, madam.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. So we all know that pregnancy and infancy are the susceptible. We all know that pregnancy and infancy are the susceptible periods for increased infections, and benefit of vaccinating a pregnant woman usually should outweigh its potential risk. And pregnancy is a vital preventative measure for routine vaccination during pregnancy is a preventative measure in routine obstetric care, serving to protect mother, fetus, and the infant. Ideally, all women should be vaccinated in the pre-conception period against all preventable diseases in the environment as per adult immunization schedule. Even though vaccination has potential benefits, there are many barriers also, like lack of knowledge and information, concern for safety of the fetus, and the cost factors. So what is the rationale for vaccination in pregnancy? Pregnancy gives healthcare providers an opportunity to identify the woman with inadequate immunization status and treat them, and also to protect the mother from infections susceptible during pregnancy. By immunizing the mother, we can protect the fetus from congenital infections and other harmful effects of maternal infection. And the neonate is also protected by passive immunization through placenta and breast milk. So all the healthcare providers should be aware of the routine immunization in pregnancy, which we give, like tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, and influenza. As these immunizations have good safety profile in pregnancy, they can provide passive protection to the newborn and are not associated with miscarriage. The providers should take proper medical and exposure history from the pregnant women and vaccinate them against all vaccine preventable infections. And following delivery, the postpartum women should receive all the vaccines that could not be administered during pregnancy, like MMR and varicella. Coming to the safety regarding vaccines, the vaccines like killed inactivated viral vaccines, protein subunit vaccines, toxoid containing vaccines, and conjugate vaccines are indicated in pregnancy. Only contraindicated or live attenuated vaccines because of the theoretical risk of congenital infection and the chances of miscarriage. If the woman had received live vaccine, she should be advised not to conceive for the next 1 month. Yellow fever and the smallpox vaccines are the only vaccines contraindicated during postpartum period or lactation. So what is the best time to vaccinate is the preconceptional period, because it provides the benefit of vaccination without affecting the fetus. And for prevention of maternal disease, best is to administer by the commencement of second trimester. And for fetal protection, 30 to 32 weeks is optimal, as the maximal immune response takes 2 weeks after inoculation, and it coincides best with the time of efficient placental transfer. So now we will go through some case discussions to better understand the vaccination in pregnancy. She is Mrs. X, 22 years, para 1, live 0 with 1 miscarriage. Previously, she had 1 intrauterine fetal death. She came for pre-pregnancy counseling. So what all we should inquire, counsel and test regarding the vaccination status. So in the preconceptional period, we need to inquire regarding whether she has any history of exposure to any infections, or she had any history of vaccination before or any documented serological immunity. And this is the preconceptional period is the ideal time for vaccinating against rubella, varicella, hepatitis B, human papilloma virus, and now because of pandemic, COVID vaccine. So if they have inadvertently received live vaccines, we should advise them not to become pregnant in the next 1 month. So now going to the next case, she is Mrs. B, 25 years, 8 weeks gestation. She had taken rubella vaccination and HPV vaccine 6 weeks back. So she came for the antenatal checkup and she need opinion whether to continue or not the pregnancy. So we should know first what all the vaccines contraindicated in pregnancy and what should we advise to this woman. So vaccines which are contraindicated in pregnancy are measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, live attenuated nasal influenza, oral typhoid, oral polio, human papilloma virus. Yellow fever virus can be given if the benefits of vaccination outweigh the risk of exposure. So suppose if the woman has taken inadvertently any of the above vaccine and became pregnant, we should not advise termination based on these grounds. Only the anomalies, if we detect anything in the NT, and anomalies can only are the indications, but not the vaccines. So what are the vaccines routinely recommended during pregnancy? Tdap and influenza. So what are the current recommendations of Tdap? CDC recommends to administer every pregnant woman 1 dose of Tdap between 27 to 36 weeks of gestation. And FOXY recommends 2 doses of tetanus toxoid at least 28 days apart, and the second dose should be replaced by Tdap. So WHO is advising now total 5 doses of tetanus toxoid vaccination to give protection throughout the childbearing period. So in the first contact, we give the first dose of TT or TD. Second dose will be given after 4 weeks apart, and the third dose 6 months after the second dose or during subsequent pregnancy. It gives protection for at least 5 years. And the fourth and fifth dose are given 1 year apart. And if the woman takes total 5 doses, they will be protected throughout the childbearing period. So Tdap is indicated in each pregnancy, even if the woman has a previous history of pertussis or vaccination. Only contraindication to Tdap is previous allergic reaction or history of encephalopathy after Tdap injection. Coming to influenza, because there are many studies suggesting the effect on the pregnant women, and this is even supported by Embrace UK 2014 report, where they have encountered 1 in 11 maternal mortalities between 2009 and 2012, which are the direct result of influenza infection. And even the neonates, there was increased rate of hospitalization and death from influenza. By maternal immunization, we can reduce the incidence of influenza in the infants by 63%, and protection can be given up to 6 months. So what is the current recommendation by CDC and WHO is 1 dose of seasonal influenza vaccine recommended during any trimester of pregnancy. And this is recommended by WHO since 2012. So what is the vaccine influenza we give is inactivated viral vaccine, which can be either a trivalent or quadrivalent, and is That is what is recommended. It can be given intramuscular, and the live attenuated influenza vaccine, which is administered intranasally, is contraindicated during pregnancy. Now, coming to COVID-19 vaccines, the recommendation is to give to all the pregnant, breastfeeding, and those who are trying to get pregnant can receive COVID vaccination. And the evidence about the safety and effectiveness of vaccination has been growing, and there is no evidence that these COVID vaccines cause fertility problems in women. These are all the vaccines, different types of vaccines are available. The one which we use, Covaxin, is an inactivated whole virus, and the Covishield is a non-replicating viral vector, because it is these two are advised, recommended in pregnancy. Coming to the booster dose, RCOG and ACOG is recommending to give booster dose even in the pregnancy after the 12 weeks after the second dose. But there are no clear-cut guidelines from the government of India regarding booster dose in pregnancy. Now we'll go to the next case. She is Mrs. D, 20 years, primary gravida, 10 weeks. She is a known case of sickle cell disease, splenectomized, and partner is hepatitis B positive, antigen positive. She came for the antenatal care. So what history should we elicit? Because she is a sickle cell disease and splenectomized, planning pregnancy, we should know regarding her immunization status, because they are more susceptible to infections like pneumococcus, meningococcus, and influenza vaccine should be advised to her. And if she, as a partner, is hepatitis B positive, HBsAg antigen positive, even the hepatitis B vaccination is recommended. So these are all the vaccines which are recommended in pregnancy if there is an indication. So hepatitis B is an inactivated viral recombinant subunit vaccine, need to be given 3 doses. Hepatitis A is also inactivated whole cell vaccine, 2 doses. Pneumococcal, meningococcal, rabies. Regarding rabies, it is an inactivated whole cell viral vaccine. If there is a post-exposure prophylaxis is recommended in pregnancy, and pre-exposure prophylaxis, if the risk of exposure is high, we can even advise rabies vaccination in pregnancy. So these are the travel vaccinations. If the woman has a history of travel or going to travel to the places where it is endemic for these infections, we can advise even travel vaccinations even in pregnancy. Yellow fever is a live attenuated vaccine, but even then it can be recommended if the risk of infection outweighs the theoretical risk of vaccination. Cholera, if there is a history of travel to remote areas, floods, disaster areas, then we can even we recommend cholera vaccine in pregnancy, as these are all inactivated vaccines. So now coming to the postpartum period, she's Mrs. S, 30 years, paravan live one, postpartum day 0. Day 0, she's an RH negative, baby is A positive and rubella IgG negative. So all obstetricians, if she's RH negative, baby is A positive, we will give anti-D immunoglobulin to the mother. But rubella IgG, if she is negative also, we need to give vaccine immediately in the postpartum period to reduce or eliminate risk in subsequent pregnancies and neonatal exposure risk. Tdap vaccination can also be given in the postpartum period if she has not received any dose of Tdap in the antenatal period to provide cocooning effect for the infant less than 12 months. Other vaccines that can be given in postpartum period are influenza, hepatitis B, varicella, HPV, and COVID-19. Only vaccines that are contraindicated in postpartum period or breastfeeding are yellow fever and smallpox vaccine. So these are the potential future vaccines that need to be developed in the future, because group B streptococcus, if we vaccinate the pregnant woman, it can protect 61 to 65% of early onset and 72 to 72% of late onset neonatal diseases. And cytomegalovirus is most common cause for congenital deafness globally, and the development of vaccine is a priority. And respiratory syncytial virus is also a potential to reduce morbidity and mortality in the infants less than 6 months. So these are all the vaccines recommended during different periods like preconception, pregnancy, postpartum. In preconception period, we can give all the vaccines. Only thing is, if they take live attenuated vaccine, we need to advise them not to become pregnant for the next 1 month. During pregnancy, live attenuated vaccines are not given like influenza, MMR, and varicella. And in the postpartum, we can advise all vaccines except for yellow fever. So take home message from my talk is, ideally vaccination should be completed prior to conception. Live vaccines are contraindicated during pregnancy, and Tdap is recommended for all pregnant women in each pregnancy between 27 to 36 weeks of gestation. Influenza vaccine is recommended for all pregnant and postpartum women in the influenza season. And pregnant women with comorbidities or exposures that place them high risk for hepatitis A, B, pneumococcal or meningococcal infections can receive these immunizations. For non-immune women in the postpartum period, we should give them MMR and varicella vaccine before they get discharged. And COVID-19 vaccination is recommended in all pregnant and breastfeeding women and women planning pregnancy, and it can be given in all trimesters. Thank you. Before ending my talk, just I want to highlight my branch perinatology, which is a subspecialty of obstetrics, and it is concerned with the care of fetus and complicated high-risk pregnancies. Deals with both maternal and fetal medicine. What is a maternal and fetal medicine specialist is a physician who has advanced knowledge and training in medical, surgical, obstetric, fetal and genetic complications of pregnancy and their effects on both the woman and the fetus. What is a high-risk pregnancy? Either a sick woman getting pregnant or pregnant woman getting sick. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anuradha Garu. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for IMA for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. A small 1 minute. The first vaccine any person in this universe gets is tetanus vaccine through the maternal immunization of TT. From the mother, the child gets. The first vaccine is tetanus. That take home message for anybody, essential obstetric care, essential, that means from a beggar to the President of India, anybody. The first dose of TT should be given as soon as the pregnancy is confirmed, because the pregnancy can end either in delivery or in abortion. Both are potential for getting tetanus. That's why as soon as she is confirmed pregnancy, the first dose of TT should be given, and the second dose, as you told, 28 days after the first dose, 4 weeks. This will give the objective is fulfilled to reduce the neonatal mortality due to tetanus, neonatal tetanus.
Yes, sir. But what is the current recommendation is, sir, even they receive 2 doses of TD, 1 booster dose of Tdap should be given after 27 weeks to protect the infant from pertussis and also the mother.
Yes, madam, that's correct. What I told is only essential.
Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah.
Essential obstetric care.
Yeah.
But what you are telling is that is yes,
Advanced.
it is very
Yes.
good to have. It is very good to have. But
Yes, sir.
we cannot afford the poor country, the developing country like India, the essential obstetric care. We must take care of all the pregnant women. Thank you very much, madam, for giving this beautiful speech. Viewers, please, any questions? And your branch, new department, that is maternal fetal medicine. It is very good. We will educate to the students also.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, please. Viewers, any questions, please raise your hand. Yes, Dr. Venkataswamy has raised his hand. Please. Venkateswamy garu adagandi. Please, Venkateswamy garu, please ask the question. Is unable to ask.
Not audible actually, sir.
Yeah, I think he's on bed.
He has to unmute himself.
Yeah, yes. He's unable to do it.
Unmute చేసుకోమనండి.
Venkateswamy garu, please. Unmute.
He has not unmuted.
Somebody can help in the.
Hello. You want to know అక్కడ
అన్మ్యూటెడ్ నాది కూడా అన్మ్యూట్ లో.
From the host side, can you unmute?
Hello, sir.
I could not do unmute.
From the host side, IT personnel, please. He is very eager to ask the question, but he is unable to do it due to technical.
ఉంది కదా అది.
Ramakrishna garu, can you help him? Kodal Ramakrishna garu.
From the host side, somebody can unmute.
Yeah, that's what I am telling.
They can interfere.
In the meanwhile, any other please? Any other person? Venkateswamy garu wants to talk something. IT person from host side, any person. Okay. Dr. Venkateswamy garu, you can talk to Dr. Anuradha garu later, I think, if it is not possible now. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anuradha garu.
Okay.
Next, cancer. Regarding cancer, Dr. Moderator garu is supposed to come, but due to some reasons is unable to come and participate. Dr. Moderator is very active, and recently we had a rally in the RK Beach and very good activities regarding cancer. On behalf of him, Dr. Uma Shankar, a surgical oncologist from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Cancer, he will talk. May I ask Dr. Uma Shankar?
Sir, can you see me, sir?
Welcome, sir.
Can you see my presentation, sir?
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. And first, I want to thank all the IMA dignitaries for giving me this opportunity, and also Dr. Murali Krishna sir for giving me this opportunity. and all the other co-speakers who have given very detailed and educative presentations, and all the delegates for participating in this webinar. So, because when you observe all the speakers, they have touched upon the HPV and hepatitis B vaccination to some extent. So I would like to restrict myself and be specific regarding what we can do with vaccinations in prevention of cancer. So we all know that the cancer is a leading cause of death, and the deaths due to cancer are increasing. Deaths due to cancer are increasing because of two things. One is like the deaths because of cardiovascular disease are coming down because of very good interventional radiology and cardiovascular surgery department, and there is increased life expectancy, and increased life expectancy will indirectly increase the risk of cancer. So because of these two things, the cancer incidence is increasing and cancer death rates are increasing, which accounts for nearly 1 in 6 deaths of all the deaths. And most common factor that we attribute for getting cancer is chemical carcinogens like tobacco, alcohol, pollution, and other factors. But even the virus, bacteria, and few protozoa, they also cause cancer, and almost 15% of human cancers are caused by viruses. And because of the decreased vaccination, because of the environmental factors and living conditions, more than 85% of these cancers caused by viruses occur in the developing countries. So what is the hallmark of cancers that occur because of viruses? The hallmark is the persistent viral infection. When there is any chronic infection, even if it is not because of virus, if there is a chronic burn, chronic ulcer, or any chronic infection, because of the increased destruction and regeneration, there are high chances of mutability of the cells that are participating in the regeneration. And most of these chronic infections, they may lead to the mutations and leading to the cancer. So there are many, almost 8 groups of viruses that cause cancer, but the most important and most common ones are human papillomavirus, hepatitis B and C, EBV virus, HHV virus, and cancers that are related to HIV. But today, because our topic is effective vaccination against cancer, and especially in adults, so we have a very potent vaccines against the human papillomavirus and hepatitis B virus. So I will be discussing more about this hepatitis B and human papillomavirus. So because of the heterogeneity of the group delegates today, I just want to speak few things about viral carcinogenesis, why it is important, and how these infections may cause cancer. So mainly we describe these mechanisms as 2 groups, rather 3 groups. One is like direct carcinogenesis, the other one is indirect mechanism. But the most common one will be a mixed mechanism where both these direct and indirect mechanisms, they work together. So in direct mechanisms, we all know that when there is infection of a cell by a virus, at some point the viral genome is integrated into the host genome, cell genome. And for few particular viruses, when there is replication of this viral genome, there will be oncogenic expressions. We all know that most important factors that lead to cancer depend on 2 groups of genes. One is like oncogenes. When they are expressed, they lead to the increased division of the cells. The other one is tumor suppressor genes, which normally control this mutagenicity and carcinogenic effects of the all these carcinogens. When they are suppressed, then they also lead to the higher chances of converting into cancer. So in direct effect, maybe there may be a viral oncogene, which when expressed, it acts as a human oncogene, which leads to the mutagenicity of the cell. Or indirectly, when these genes are expressed, there may be viral gene products that are produced inside the cells, which have a genotoxic effect on the genetic material of the host cell, which will lead to mutation. And they convert the cell into the cancerous cells. These are the mainly direct effects. Indirect mechanism is that whenever there is any infection, there will be inflammation. As I have previously told, whenever there is inflammation, there will be destruction followed by repair. And when there is chronic infection, there are multiple cycles of destructions followed by repairs, which increases multiplication of different types of cells. When there is high multiplication rate, there are high chances of any mutations that occur. And also there will be some paracrine effects of these virally infected cells, which also increase the chances of mutations in the immune cells that come to this place. So, but when you see any, even in HPV or mainly in hepatitis B virus, both these direct and indirect mechanisms, they both together, they have a role, and we call it as a mixed carcinogenesis. So any of these effects, they lead to the loss of normal growth regulation. So what is direct and indirect? When the infected cell turns malignant, we call it as a direct mechanism. When the infected cell doesn't turn malignant, but the cells that are around, especially the immune cells or any other cells that are around, they turn malignant because of the paracrine effects, we call it as an indirect mechanism. So the same thing, put it in a graphical way, when there is a normal cell, when there is a viral infection, there will be viral genome integration. Then the affected cell, either it may go to apoptosis, which is good for this thing. Sometimes there will be chronic infection, which is called transformation. The transformation will either lead to a change of the cell into the precancerous cell, which will trigger genome instability, loss of tumor suppressor genes or activation of the oncogenes, finally ending up in cancer. Or sometimes there may be paracrine stimulation, inflammation regeneration, which will result in cancerous cells. So coming to the main two vaccines that are available for the two viral carcinogens, one is human papillomavirus. So human papilloma HPV virus is the most common sexually transmitted disease, and we all know that we have low risk genotypes which will cause anogenital warts like HPV 6 and 11, and there are high risk genotype like 16 and 18, which are the commonest and which cause almost up to 75 to 80% of the cancers because of the HPV virus. And because these viruses, they have a specific predilection for squamous cells and when there is a transition of this mucosa, so we can find these HPV associated cancers, especially in cervix, anal canal, vulva and vagina, and recently there is an increase in incidence of HPV associated oropharyngeal cancers in West. Even when we start doing this HPV virus testing in oropharyngeal cancers, even in India, the incidence is increasing, but primarily it is still because of the tobacco and alcohol use in India. And of course, there is increased incidence in pineal cancers also. So the most commonly associated cancers will be cervical cancer and anal cancers, where even in almost up to 90% of the cases, they are positive for HPV infection, followed by vaginal and vulval cancer up to 70%, and oropharyngeal cancers, it will be little less in India, but almost up to 60 to 70% in West, and almost 65% of the pineal cancers are associated with HPV virus. So the same thing, how it will act, because we have early genes and late genes in a HPV virus genome. Early genes are usually, they are early genes are the most important, and usually they will be seen in all the infected cells, whereas late genes usually they are associated with the expression of the capsid proteins. So they are seen only when there is a proliferative phase of this viral vaccine. And especially these E6, E7 genes of the HPV, they inhibit P53 and retinoblastoma genes respectively. And these two are the most important tumor suppressor genes. And when they are inhibited, there won't be any cell cycle check. So the cell cycles will continue, which will increase the chances of more mutations. So when there is sustained expression of the E6 and E7, there will be transmission into the cancer. And one most important thing in both HPV and HPV, one thing that we have to remember is that it is not going to happen overnight. It is a very small chronic process which takes over 20 to 30 years. So first there will be a normal looking cervix, then there will be CN, intraepithelial neoplasia of grade 1 and 2, followed by grade 2 and 3, and followed by cancer. So the other important thing that we have to remember is all the patients who have HPV infection, they don't have a risk of getting a cervical cancer. In most of the patients, there will be spontaneous regression of the infection. But in few patients, there will be persistence of the infection, in whom there is a high risk of getting this CIN 1, 2, 3 and cancer. So this is the same reason, because of this window period, this is the same reason why pap smear testing and HPV testing in as a screening, it helps us beautifully to identify these patients before full-blown cancer is seen in these patients, and it will help us to deal with in early phase as well. So coming to the vaccinations, usually in HPV vaccines, it is a virus-like particles of usually L1 capsid protein that we have seen now. There are a number of HPV types the vaccine may target, and depending on which they are mainly divided into three. One is like bivalent vaccine, which is Cervarix, which acts only against HPV 16 and 18, but they are the most important high-risk HPV strains that are available now, that are there. Second one is Gardasil. This is a quadrivalent vaccine against 6, 11, 16 and 18. They will prevent both the high-risk proteins as well as 6 and 11, which will decrease the incidence of anogenital warts in the vaccinated patients. So Cervarix and Gardasil, they are available since long, and Gardasil 9, which also protects against the subtypes 31, 33, 35, 45, 52, and 58. For all these 9 subtypes, it is I think it is available since last September in 2021. But the main problem with this HPV vaccine is because it is not directly included in universal immunization program in India yet. The cost, both the Cervarix and Gardasil, the cost is around 3,000 to 3,500. But the cost of the Gardasil is almost 3 times. It is almost like 10,000 to 10,500 only for the cost of the vial. And second one is availability, but presently both the Cervarix and Gardasil, at least they are available in most of the most of the healthcare workers, pediatricians, and many other people. Recently, the knowledge about this HPV vaccines has increased, and even the vaccination coverage has increased. But as the sir has pointed out previously, when compared to West, which is almost up to 75%, the uptake in India is still very less, and there is a long way to go. So this is the most important slide of my presentation. So even though we are speaking about the adult vaccination, as we have included the family vaccination as a part of this thing, so we have to speak a little bit about the recommendations all over the world. So mainly these are WHO, IAP recommendations and ACIP recommendations. So HPV vaccination is recommended between 11 to 12 years of age. WHO and IAP, they mainly recommend for girls and adolescents, females. But ACIP, the CDC recommends for both boys and girls. So the recommended age is 11 to 12 years, but it can be administered as early as 9 years. So the catch here is when the vaccination is given to HPV naive people, the protection is very high. And most commonly, the people will be HPV naive before they are sexually active and before their marriage. So it should be given, the target should be to vaccinate all the female child girls and females who are before their marriage and before their sexual, before they become sexually active. And even in boys, it is not recommended in India, but in US, even it is recommended for boys. Cervarix is usually not used for boys. Gardasil can be used in Gardasil, and Gardasil 9 can be used for both males and females. So, as it is already pointed out, when you are giving between 9 to 14 years of age, 2 doses are recommended, 6 months apart, that is 0 and 6. But 15 and above, and even 9 to 14 age with immunocompromised patients or any patients with HIV, we need to go with 3 doses. 3 doses will be like 0, 1 and 6 for Cervarix and 0, 2 and 6 for Gardasil, like 0, 1 month and 6 months. So the recommendation is you can get vaccinated between 9 to 26 years of age, but preferably between 11 and 12. There is a FDA approval for these vaccines between 27 and 45 years of age, but not routinely recommended and not routinely followed in India. There is no strong evidence to support this recommendation, because by that time most of the people will be positive for HPV, and once there is an infection already, the protection from these vaccinations will drastically decrease. And in these patients, if someone above this age of 26, they come and ask you regarding the vaccination, you can discuss with them, and still up to 45 years, if they want it, we can go ahead with the vaccination. So the adverse reactions, they are like with most of the vaccines have this mild fever. 1 in 10 people will have mild fever, and most of the adverse reactions are like non-serious. Very rare serious adverse reactions are noted. And commonly it will be itching at the site, nausea, headache, arm pain, and all the other things. But the only, as with any other vaccine, the only life-threatening allergic reactions to HPV vaccine, they are very rare, but they are recorded. So if there is any significant reaction for the first dose of HPV vaccine, it's better to avoid the next doses. So, so we are promoting that vaccines will decrease the incidence of cancer. So how do we know? So as I have told, the window period after the HPV infection to the formation of cancer is very high. So we don't have a level 1 evidence yet that there will be decrease in the incidence of cervical cancer or other cancers, but we have a very good retrospective and population based databases which showed that the cancer prevention rates are almost up to 95% in HPV naive population. Oh, they are up to almost up to 60 to 70% in overall population. So we will have a mature data in the decades to come, but even the data at present, it recommends to go ahead with this HPV vaccines. But one important thing I want to highlight at this juncture is, even when the patient has HPV vaccination, still the pap smear test or screening for CS cervix is recommended. We can start it as early as 21 years with pap smear, and above 25 to 30 years as a combination between HPV virus and the pap smear. So it should be recommended even after the vaccination. So next, the most important thing I wanted to speak is about hepatitis B. It causes 50 to 70% of HCC worldwide, and it is also, the incidence is more in developing countries. So the incidence of HCC related to hepatitis B is also very high in developing countries. We have a good immunotherapy and drugs to control the infection presently, but often they fail to decrease the chronic infection and thus decrease the chances of cancer. And we have very good hepatitis B vaccines since long time, and it is also included in the immunization program since long. So we are expecting that the hepatitis B incidence as well as the HCC related to hepatitis B will come down drastically in the next decade. So this is a brief outline how it will cause. First, there will be infection of the hepatocytes with integration of the HPV DNA into the hepatocytes. Then there will be two effects. One is like genetic changes of the infected cells, and there is increased immunogenic responses like cirrhosis and fibrosis, which also increase the chances of mutations. Thus, there will be selective clonal expansion leading to the malignant development by increasing oncogenes and decreasing tumor suppressor genes. So I'm not going to speak much about hepatitis B vaccine because it is there since long, and most of us know about this. So usually it is included in UIP India for children. For adults, we can administer it in 3 doses, like with 0, 1 and 6. So if there is anyone who is not having, who never had hepatitis B vaccination, what will be the recommendation in adults? So it is recommended in patients on dialysis, any dialysis, hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis, or any type of dialysis. It also recommended in patients with chronic liver disease, who are HPV negative, who are HCV or HCV positive. And it also recommended in people with high risk sexual behavior as a post-exposure prophylaxis in healthcare workers, in drug abusers, and international travelers who travel to the high and intermediate prevalent regions, which is taken as more than 8% and 2 to 7% respectively. And it should also be given to the household context of any HPS AG positive persons. Maybe this will be more clinically relevant now. If we find any patient with HPS AG positive, then we should recommend the household context to go ahead with vaccination. And so what about booster doses? So once you are completely vaccinated, there is no regular recommendation of booster dose. That means you have received 3 doses of HPV. If you have a normal immune response system, so there is no recommendation for booster dose. But a booster dose may be administered when the anti-HPS levels decline less than 10 milli-international units, or for high-risk patients with age more than 65 years. And booster dose may also be considered in patients with dialysis and immunocompromised states. So again, the impact, there is a strong retrospective analysis of the 20 years data in the US, almost up to 2018, which is recently published. It has shown strong protection against HPV infection almost up to 20 years after 3 doses of the vaccination. And there is reduced risk of all-cause and cancer-related mortality in these vaccinated groups. So, but exact impact in terms of decrease in the cancer rates will be, we will be knowing them in the coming decade. So, this is my take-home message: viral carcinogens, because they are modifiable risk factors, and we have a prophylactic vaccination, we should always recommend this vaccination for these patients. And there is a long window of a long period of chronicity in most of these, which leads to the immunogenic response and mixed mechanisms to cause the cancer. HPV vaccination can be actively promoted, especially in girls and young women. HPV vaccination should be continued in universal immunization program, and even the adults should go, and especially the healthcare workers, they should go and take this BV vaccination. In spite of vaccination, we should continue CSF screening after vaccination, because there are few cancers that are caused by the strains that are not included in the vaccine, and sometimes the immunogenicity may not be 100%. It may be usually up to 95 to 97%. But we should continue with the screening of these patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umashankar Garu.
Thank you, sir.
You have given a nice speech, nice knowledge, good knowledge about these cancers. May I add 1 minute, 1 second?
Sir.
In addition to these vaccines, which are chemicals or organisms or something like that, why can't we do what is in our hands? That is behavior.
Yeah, behavior and
change.
Lifestyle changes.
Lifestyle changes like smoking, alcohol, sexual behavior, like that. Let us concentrate something on that also, and reduce these cancers among the public. We can do it, I think. It is in our hands. Our health is in our hands.
I think that is the most, even now, the most important will be lifestyle changes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because even if you exclude the tobacco and alcohol, just because of the change in dietary habits, the colon cancer and rectal cancer, the incidence is increasing very much.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which we used to consider rare in India, now it is becoming common in India, mainly because of this fast foods and dietary changes.
I have seen in one article, this oral cancers.
Yeah.
In addition to this tobacco and all this gutka, all these things, and change in the abnormal behavior of the people in sexual act, that is oral sex. That is also one of the cause for this. So the need of the hour is behavioral change among the people. And for that, we have to give good nutrition education, health education, cancer preventive steps, how to identify the early stage, in the early stage itself. Then that can reduce the morbidity and mortality of the cancers. Very good institute, from a very good institute you have come, that is Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Cancer. Please convey my, on behalf of the IMA, Andhra Pradesh, please convey our regards to Dr. Murali Krishna Garu.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for
sir.
the opportunity also. Yeah.
Any viewers, please? Viewers, please ask questions. Viewers?
I think Dr. Yugandhar has.
Sir, would you recommend this HPV vaccine for even for our children? So I have two girl children. Would you recommend as a friend and as a senior or whatever?
Yes, sir. For girl children, definitely, sir.
Because as a personal advice, I'm not. They're asking as a senior or what, or a colleague. As a personal advocate, would you recommend? How many people have you seen, sir? Our colleagues and other people who have taken this?
At least, most of my seniors who are into this oncology, most of their children, they are vaccinated, sir.
And
even my family, extended family members, I have a boy child, but my extended family members and everyone, they also got
vaccinated. And so I think, as you suggested, absolutely no problems, no issues with the safety.
No, sir.
And below 15 years, it is 2 doses.
Yes, sir. Below 15 years, it is.
Gap of interval of, sir? Interval of
0 and 6, sir.
0 and 6. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yugandhar.
Sir.
Other viewers, please share your ideas. Sharing is multiplying our knowledge. Share your ideas, please. Anybody from Vijayawada? Kodal Ramakrishna Garu. I think he's not there. Anybody, please? Yes. Dr. Neeraja.
Hello, sir. Good morning. I'm Dr. Neeraja, sir, from Visakhapatnam. Good morning, Dr. Umashankar, sir.
Good
Sir,
morning.
I have a doubt. I have 2 kids. One is a 1.5-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl. Do you recommend to vaccinate both of them, sir, now at this stage?
No, ma'am. Better to wait till 11 and 12 years.
After 11 and 12 years.
Yeah. Why they have come with 9 years is they have some social aspects in US. So that's why they have brought it below the 10 years and 11 years age. But in India, I think it's better to wait till 11 years of age and vaccinate around 11 to 12 years. The maximum protective effect is seen in between those ages.
Okay. Even though no family history of any cancers?
No, ma'am. No. It is irrespective of any families.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any other, please? Later also you can consult Dr. Umashankar Garu. If there are no questions, we will go to the next program. Anybody, please? Okay, then. We will go to the next program. The centrally located organ in the body, the most important organ, that is heart. That is the capital of the body. regarding that, a centrally located from the capital area, Vijayawada, from Manipal Super Specialty Hospital, Dr. Manoj Kumar is a very close friend of mine. We were both colleagues in Academy of Medical Specialties executive body. And now it is his turn. He's the night batsman, the last speaker. Night batsman will have two advantages. Advantage and disadvantage also. Disadvantage, less of time, but advantage, more of time. Now, I'm giving free time for him, even 10 minutes or 15 minutes more. Till now, we heard about this advantages of vaccination, uses and everything. But now we'll see the other side of the coin. What are the problems? Problems in adult vaccination. And add something on the heart also. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Manoj, welcome to you.
Thank you, sir.
The stage is yours.
Good morning, everybody, sir. First of all, I thank our state IMA president, Dr. Srinivas Raj Garu, for giving me this opportunity to participate as a speaker in this very apt program. I think he did one more program last time also. He is taking all which are very important topics and which is very useful to most of the treating doctors. So even though initially I was asked to talk about cardiovascular disease and vaccination, most of the time the cardiorespiratory we take as a unit because they had some interactions where all the mechanisms are same and as well as the group of vaccines what will be given in a cardiovascular is also same. So I thought as a practicing physician, what problems I see in adult vaccination, it is quite easy to recommend you take so-and-so vaccine, but they ask you 101 questions and sometimes they come with a lot of problems. So in this situation, how to go about in adult vaccination? And I thank Dr. Kannamurthy Garu for moderating this good CME very well since morning. So before going to the problems, just already we had listened to a lot of speakers about various vaccinations, what are the importance, what are the doses, schedules and all. Just one single point. In this world, there is 1.3 million deaths due to pneumococcal pneumonia. With a single shot of pneumococcal vaccine, we can prevent at least 95% of pneumococcal disease. If you take influenza virus infection, there are at least 3 to 5 million severe illnesses due to influenza. I am telling it is only severe illness. I'm not telling what we get daily common cold and cough. If you take those, it will be more. It is severe illnesses, those who got admitted to hospital or ICU units. So it is 2 to 6 lakh deaths occur every year. So single flu shot will give you 40 to 60% reduction in this influenza disease. The previous speaker also talking about hepatitis B. There are 296 million hepatitis B cases worldwide, 8 lakh deaths due to cirrhosis, 1.5 million new cases each year. With a complete hepatitis B vaccine schedule, you have a protection of at least 98 to 100%. So the importance is not to get treated, invest more on prevention. We all seen in previous COVID era how much amount we are spending for a single hospital admission for a COVID patient. Just taking a COVID vaccine, you are able to at least now with the third wave, we are quite comfortable. Definitely, we see how it increased, and within 1 month, we are totally out of that tension and out of that busy work. With just a vaccination, at least with the booster also. So this is the importance of adult vaccination. So just to remind you once again, so adult vaccination in my practice, how I see my adult vaccination, how I got a chance to see adult vaccination. I get certain group of patients. One is the patients, the parents of who are staying in India and their children are staying in US. So NRI patients will advise them to go to your physician, ask for adult vaccine, or they phone us and ask whether my parents can get vaccination. This is one set of patients what I get. And the second set is IT people who search in the Google and come for adult vaccination, even though it is a little less, but we are seeing nowadays more after COVID, because the COVID actually whole scenario changed. People are taking a little more interest in health. They are concentrating more on the preventive aspects. They're concentrating more on the diet, which we never done pre-COVID era. And history of travel to US, the students of who are going to various specialty training. This is the major junk what I see. And sometimes surgical reflux, especially splenectomy surgeries and some of the surgeries. My surgical colleagues can refer a patient to me. And finally, we in a corporate setup, we have some master checkups. The patients who come for the checkups will definitely come without much of the problems. So we can advise them to take this vaccine. These are the group of patients where I see in day in and day to my practice. And out of this, the major chunk is the students who are traveling to US. The more problems, what problems I face with the students traveling to US is they have a visa process where you have to get a certificate from a physician, submit to visa process, and even for the university. So they book their flight tickets and they come to me 2 days or 3 days prior to the flight journey to take a certificate from a physician. They think it is just you can write on the paper that you certificate that you have received all the vaccinations. But if you see some of the vaccines, some of the universities, they ask the only certificate. Just you write down that the so-and-so fellow had taken all the vaccination, list down name all the vaccines, write down there, and you sign, put a stamp, that is enough. But some university ask what is evidence of the immunity. So I have to check the antibody titers of these patients. So if you send to any lab, it will take at least 4 days to get the titer back. So for example, if the titer is not there, again we have to vaccinate the student. So most of the time they come 2 to 3 days prior to the travel and already a ticket is booked, and you don't have a titer in your hand and there is no time. This is the major problem what I face in adult vaccination practice. So our people are very intelligent enough. They derive some sort of mechanisms to overcome all these things. There are certain group of people who are practicing in all the metros. Their job is to just issue a certificate by taking nominal fees. You give your date of birth, you give your name. He will prepare as if all the vaccines are given according to the universal immunization program and other vaccination. This is how our students are doing, and somehow they are going to states within that flight time. So sometimes I also will be forced to give certain certificates, but most of them I discourage them, because it is not just because for vaccine university safety. We are giving the vaccine for their health. This is what they are supposed to understand. So I think as a doctor, we should all advise, or at least give the vaccines in a prior. We don't know when anybody can want to travel and all. Why can't they take these vaccines prior? This is one important message what I want to convey here. So what are my barriers for adult vaccination, or what are the usual barriers in Indian setup? The first and foremost is physician inertia. Physician inertia and physician not advising vaccination to adult. We are so busy in our practice, we don't find much of the time to spare for advising a adult immunization vaccine. And the other physician inertia is not taking ourselves. I don't know how many people who are listening now to my talk had taken at least 1 or 2 shots of whatever the vaccines mentioned since morning. So definitely we have two type of inertias. One is we never take ourselves. Two is we don't advise. If you take, you will definitely advise. So at least after this talk and after this CME, after our IMA's effort to bring awareness in the doctors as well as the patients or people, we have to decrease this inertia and try to at least help our patients and ourselves also for adult vaccination. The second one is lack of awareness in our patients. So there are a lot of programs under social media, WhatsApp, net for awareness programs of diseases like diabetes, hypertension, your cancers, and all the disease COVID. But we found rarely the most neglected thing is your adult vaccination. We don't see much of the media also telling about this adult vaccination. So patients also don't have awareness. Physicians little awareness, but not ready to do the vaccination process because they won't find time to spend the patient. The third one is lack of resources. See, there are two things. The availability of vaccine is more important. And two is if you have available vaccine, the previous speaker is also talking, there are a vaccine which is 9,000, vaccine with 3,000 HPV. So there are a lot of vaccines. For example, pneumococcal vaccine, it's roughly costs somewhere 3,000 rupees. So which vaccine to take? Number two, whether he is researchable or not. If you prescribe a vaccine which is 3,000, some fellow may not take. If the same patient is prescribed a vaccine which is lesser, somewhere 1,000 rupees, he can try to afford. So availability is one thing, and financial aspect of the patient is more important. You may tell to take all the vaccine, but most of the time in Indian mentality, the patient is that's what we hear most of the time. Why unnecessarily you waste your time, the disease which you may get in the future. And finally, the National Adult Immunization Program, I don't think Karnamurthy sir should tell about this, whether do we have any, as far as my knowledge, there is no much of adult immunization program, national. Sir, Karnamurthy sir, what is your take on this National Adult Immunization Program, sir? Is there anything going on? Hello. The next one is associated fears of the vaccine is most important. See, we all seen this in this COVID era. Initially, vaccines, COVID vaccines started. Everybody is thinking who should take the first dose. So somehow in the general public, I think the municipal workers are the fellow first who have taken the vaccines, and in a doctor community, especially in my hospital, I was the first fellow to push it to take my first vaccine. So it is everybody has a lot of fears on the COVID vaccines. Subsequently, after seeing some of the patients who are going well, then everybody started taking. So the fears of the vaccine is most important barrier for adult vaccination in our country. So especially they tell I have some allergy. So they don't know what is allergy. They don't know what are the manifestations allergy. They just simply tell I have allergy. They may have some allergy for some drug, and they naturally ascribe it to even a vaccine. So the fear of vaccine is the most, I think, out of all these things, the fear of vaccine is what I had seen in my clinical practice, the major barrier for adult vaccination. So what are the total vaccines we are supposed to take in adult vaccination? Till now, all the speakers are told it is pneumococcal influenza, hepatitis B, Tdap, zoster, Haemophilus influenza B, hepatitis A, human papilloma, MMR, meningococcal varicella. But at least 11 vaccines are there here. If you're not able to take 11 vaccines, please try to take at least pneumococcal influenza hepatitis B. This is a must for all the population of elderly, because nowadays we see a lot of admissions to ICU with pneumonias and cirrhosis of liver. So adult vaccination, 11 vaccines you take is better. At least you take 3. So where every adult or every person are supposed to take all the vaccines, but I told you there are a lot of reasons for not taking, like your financial, your availability, the lack of knowledge. But each set of the patients should and must take the vaccine. Splenism patient, diabetes patient, coronary artery disease patient, cerebrovascular disease patient, HIV patient, liver disease like cirrhosis, respiratory disease like COPD and asthma, chronic renal failure, and patients on dialysis, immunocompromised, any other immunocompromised states, or patient taking drugs for immunocompromised. This population, it is a must. You can't, you have to insist them to take the vaccine, because the mortality and morbidity definitely will be reduced by each and every vaccine. So chronic conditions, I told you, like CRF, chronic renal failure, chronic heart failure, chronic kidney disease, chronic liver disease, all these people, these vaccines are a must. Pneumococcal, influenza, TD, herpes, varicella, and MMR are must. Those vaccines, what I told, is for general population, vaccines which are to be taken for a specified group, and vaccines for chronic conditions. So, you know, there are certain vaccines you are supposed to take. Now we will think what are contraindications to vaccines, when you should not take a vaccine. First and foremost important is allergic reaction to a previous dose. If a patient had allergic reaction to previous dose, which is not what a patient tells, a documented allergic reaction that he had been admitted or treated for allergic reaction, better avoid, because we have an anaphylactic reaction which is life-threatening. Don't give them. So patient with acute illness, with or without fever, you have a fever, cough, cold, myalgias, loose motions, all these situations, don't take any vaccine, even though there is a date is, for example, you have a schedule where your date is coming tomorrow, and tomorrow you have some loose motions or some cough and cold. Please don't take, because we don't know whether this is a reaction of the vaccine or whatever disease you are having yourself. So these patients should not take vaccine. Current illness means, for example, patient already having hepatitis B, there is no point in taking hepatitis B vaccine. Patient already had some mumps and measles, no point in taking mumps and MMR vaccine. So current illness, you will not take the same vaccine. If a patient had past history of Guillain-Barré syndrome, you should be a little more careful. Patient on antiviral drug, chronic antiviral drugs, especially the immunity developed by live attenuated vaccines, may be a little less. So this is also not totally a contraindication, absolute contraindication. It is a relative contraindication. Patients who receive blood or blood products containing antibodies. This we know, recently we had seen in COVID patients who had received at least monoclonal antibodies or plasma are advised not to take vaccine for next 3 months, because already antibodies are there. So these set of patients, taking a vaccine is a contraindicated. So what are contraindications for live attenuated vaccines? So the patients whose age is less than 2, adult more than 50, if you have allergic reaction to vaccine, or immunosuppressed states like cancer, or patients on chemotherapy, or immunosuppressive drugs, patient taking immunosuppressive drugs, pregnancy and splenism, these patients cannot take a live attenuated vaccine. In this group, we are supposed to give vaccine, but you have to take an alternative method, because all these groups are definitely a special population or vulnerable population. Definitely they are supposed to take. Only thing is avoid the live attenuators like smallpox, chickenpox, your yellow fever, or MMR. These are the live attenuated vaccines what we are supposed to not to give. So the first and foremost thing, as I told you, reaction. What a patient is more afraid of is a reaction. They don't know what is the reaction. They don't know what will happen. Most of the time, why you're not taking your vaccine? They don't know, no, I have some reaction. I am allergic to certain drug and certain vaccine, but they never taken that action. So we should know the features to differentiate between anaphylactic reaction following a vaccine and vaccine-related stress response. Means it's a fear, just fear. So anaphylaxis is a life-threatening condition, and the stress response is not a life-threatening condition. They will be totally fine. Only they are a little worried. So anaphylaxis after a vaccine, for example, patient had taken a vaccine. If you develop a vaccine, at least it will take 5 to 60 minutes after a vaccine to develop. It can take anywhere from next day, or it can take after 22 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. but not within 5 minutes. Whereas stress reaction, immediately you prick him, immediately you have that reaction. Means within 5 minutes, patient get all the features of a stress response. So the most common features of anaphylaxis is first and foremost is rash, urticaria, and itching. These are most, they just don't go and suddenly they will have a fall and die. First of all, it will start most of them rash, urticaria or itching, but most of the patients with the stress response, it is the pallor or mild sweating, because there will be a lot of anxiety. So there may be some amount of paleness and sweating. So patients who develop anaphylaxis can have shortness of breath, cough, hypotension, tachycardia. So patients who are having a stress reaction can have shortness of breath, not like anaphylaxis. They have like for example, hyperventilation syndrome. They will do, wantedly they want to do it. And your BP may be normal, tachycardia is because of your anxiety rather than the reaction. The patients who have anaphylaxis are agitated, but here these people complain what is happening is dullness, dizziness, the most common is they feel restless and they tell it is dizzy. So in a severe anaphylactic reaction, you can have loss of consciousness, you have fall, and whereas this is not happens in a stress response. So the treatment of anaphylaxis reaction is immediately adrenaline. Here it is only assurance of the patient, nothing happened, don't worry. So if a patient recovers with adrenaline, if not improving with adrenaline, he may have to be admitted to ICU and you have to give inotropes, IV fluids. We all know how to manage anaphylactic reaction in any drug or vaccine. So my previous speaker already told what are the contraindicated vaccine in pregnancy, all BCG, oral polio, oral typhoid, Japanese encephalitis, MMR, rotavirus, varicella, and zoster. These vaccines you cannot give in pregnancy. So the previous speaker is talking about hepatitis B vaccine. I don't want to go again with doses and the importance. What practical problems I see is patient received 1 dose and forget the second and third. They come after a certain time, suddenly they remember, oh, I had taken not the first, second, and third, they come. What to do in that situation? So if a patient had received only 1 dose, whenever the patient come to you, give the second dose. From there, after 8 weeks, you can give the third dose. This is what we do routinely. If a patient already taken 2 doses, 1 and 2 are taken, third is missed. So no problem, you can give any time. But exactly speaking, if you really want to give correctly, better check his immune status. You send hepatitis B surface antibody levels. If it is less than 10 international units per ml, you have to start full course, not that dose. You have to start again 016 or 0121. But if there are sufficient antibodies, more than 10 international units per ml, you can again give the skip dose whenever they come, depending on second or third. So hepatitis B booster dose, who should take? Normal immunity people, the production of immunity from hepatitis B, it is at least 20 to 30 years. Even previous speaker is insisting on that. They may not require a booster dose, but patients of hemodialysis, immunosuppressive condition, healthcare workers, booster dose every 5 years. And if antibodies are less than 10 international units per ml, you should take. I work in a hospital where it is NABH accredited, where we are supposed to get our hepatitis B levels, antibody levels every second yearly. I was advising everybody to take boosters and take hepatitis vaccine. And one day they checked my antibodies. I was surprised. I don't have any antibodies. I had taken, I think, somewhere 1990, my all schedule. And afterwards, I had taken a booster after 5 years, maybe 95, 96. Now, recently, 3 to 4 years back, when I examined myself, I don't have any antibodies. So I took again full course of hepatitis 016. I took first dose 016. This time I took 0121. So really, we advise everybody, we don't get ourselves tested. I was also shocked to see that I don't have, because I do advise most of the people, because all my colleagues come to me and ask whether to take or not. I was just advising from last 5 to 6 years. And subsequently, I came to know that I don't have post antibodies, and I also taken one more vaccine, a full set. The second thing is splenectomy patients. Splenectomy patients, these vaccines should be received pneumococcal, meningococcal, Haemophilus influenza B. These should be given at least 14 days before elective surgery. What commonly I see is patient will be going for surgery in 1 or 2 days. Surgeon will suddenly remember and refer me, take the vaccine, go to physician, take the vaccine. Or already patient is admitted for the surgery and I get a referral, please see for vaccination. So literally speaking, we are supposed to give at least 14 days before elective surgery. But if it's emergency surgery, nothing can be done. You have to do the surgery. You can give the vaccine within 14 days of discharge of emergency surgery. So I request all my surgical colleagues, please kindly refer your patients to the vaccination at least 2 weeks before the planned splenectomies. And influenza vaccine, most of my previous speaker, Yugandhar sir, had already talked about it. So the best time, what I am telling is before the rainy or winter season, July to September, best time. So what is the checking the vaccine? For example, now I want to take an influenza vaccine. This is February end. Tomorrow onwards we are having March. Am I really, is it right to take now influenza vaccine? See, because next coming 3 months, at March, April, May, June, we have a lot of summer season and a lot of decreased number of respiratory infections, especially pneumonias and even cold and cough. So if I take now, it may not be much useful. If you want to take, I have to take somewhere July and August, so that after August again, rainy season or winter season, you can have a lot of this one. So July and August also, I cannot go and ask him, yes, you give me one influenza vaccine and take it. You have to check the batch, because every year the influenza vaccines change. Because WHO constantly keep the surveillance of circulating influenza strains, and they advise the manufacturers to do what strains there should be included in the influenza vaccine for coming year. So if I am taking a vaccine on August 2022, I should check whether it is 2022 vaccine or 2023 vaccine. So if 2023 vaccine is not available in August, I have to wait until I get the 2023 vaccine, so that it will be more useful for me in taking a influenza vaccine. This happens most common mistake, because we just don't know all these things. We go and ask him, give an influenza shot, they will give. And if I take a 2022 in July or September, August or September, it will not useful much in the coming year. So what about a swine flu vaccine? Now this swine strain is included into the influenza vaccine. There is no need to take separate swine flu vaccine. Influenza vaccine indicate already some, I don't know how many, there are certain brands. One brand, one or two brands, I think Infovac, I think it had a swine strain in that. So when you take that influenza, you are covered even for swine flu. And we all know influenza vaccine should be taken yearly, because all these viral vaccines, the immunity is very short, because we have seen in the COVID also. Most of us, after taking 2 doses, within 6 to 9 months, we are positive. So yearly, even maybe corona also, we may have to take every yearly soon. So yellow fever vaccine, previously we have a discussion. Our first speaker, Professor SPM, had talked about yellow fever vaccine. Those who are going to African countries, it is a must. What is yellow card? If you take a yellow fever vaccine, it is a certificate which will be given, which to be produced to the visa procedure. If you don't have a yellow card, you will not be allowed a visa. Where you can get, the previous speaker also telling, it is Fever Hospital or whatever is there in Hyderabad. I think Port Hospital in Vizag, only 2 places, it not be given everywhere. So these are the 2 places you can get your yellow fever vaccine and the certificate. So coming to the rabies vaccine, we know that it is pre-exposure and post-exposure. Pre-exposure is 07, 21, 28 day, and booster every second hourly. Mostly pre-exposure is only for healthcare workers, the workers who work in forest, or you are traveling to an endemic place where rabies is common. The post-exposure after dog bite 037-14-30, sometimes 037-14-28 intramuscular. Recently, the new schedule of intradermal 222 on 037, 211 or 037. This is basically, there is some advantage of intradermal. See, post-exposure prophylaxis intramuscularly, if we give 0.5 ml, in intradermal we give 0.1 ml. So we can save a lot of vaccine. So the same vaccine can be used for more number of people. So that's why government also nowadays trying to insist more on intradermal 222, 037. And recently, most of the time we know when a dog bite is there, if a dog is safe after 10 days, may not need subsequent doses. So if you take intradermal 03 itself may be enough. So there are certain trials going on even with 0-3. So these are the doses and regimens. And whenever a patient has a severe dog bite, you will give immunoglobulins for the same patient. Don't give vaccine and immunoglobulins on the same side. It should be given on the opposite sides. So dog vaccination schedule, why should we know dog vaccination schedule? So for a dog, it is 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 year, and every 2 years booster. So if you go to your friend house, you have a dog bite, your friend dog bites you, and you don't know whether you ask your friend whether he had received the dog is vaccinated, he will tell yes. But definitely nobody strictly follows all the regimens. If it is more than 2 years, if a patient has taken a last dose for the dog, you are not safe. In these situations, better to take vaccination, because most of the time with the same doubt will be expressed, because it is a pet dog, my friend's dog. So whether really I have to take or not, this many doses, all these things are common doubts what a patient asked me. So I think dog vaccination schedule, I also came to know yesterday only, because when I was recently I have a patient who asked me whether I have to take or not. So definitely these things may look quite simple, but advising them whether to really take a shot or not is not that easy. So coming to wound management, we all give TT injections most of the time. If a patient, it is always better to give TD. If a patient had the last TDAP more than 10 years, you have to give TDAP. If it is TDAP less than 5 years, you can give plain TD. So most of the time, unless otherwise we have some injury or somewhere, we never take these doses. So at least a TD is a must in all wound management and pre-operative. Guillain-Barré syndrome and these vaccines. See, post-influenza infection, we can get Guillain-Barré syndrome. Post-influenza vaccine, you'll get a Guillain-Barré syndrome. But if you take the proportion of the patients, the risk of development of Guillain-Barré syndrome is more in infection rather than vaccination. For example, if 1 lakh people are getting influenza, only 1 to 2% may get GB syndrome. For the vaccination, 1 lakh people get vaccination of influenza, 0.1 to 0.2 may get a GB syndrome. So the benefit is more. So unless otherwise a strong history, better not to worry about GB syndrome. You can take your vaccination. The other vaccines, some of the other vaccines can also can cause GB syndrome, especially rabies vaccine. So this is about GB syndrome. Vaccinations in HIV patients. HIV patients is a subspecial group where I told you they are supposed to take certain vaccinations. Here one thing is the CD4 count is less than 200 CD4 count. You have to give polysaccharide pneumococcal conjugate vaccine 13, not PSV polysaccharide pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine 23. Whereas more than 200, you can give any of them. MMR vaccine, varicella vaccine, other vaccine, hepatitis B, everything will give. But one vaccine we should be a little careful when we are giving. For HIV is your CD4 count should be seen when you give a polysaccharide pneumococcal vaccine. So you are taking a vaccine, you don't know whether you are totally protected or not. So what way you can check? You check your antibody after vaccination. Is it a must that everybody should check the antibody titers? Because recently we had seen after taking COVID vaccines, most of our doctor population also checked their antibodies after a post-COVID spike protein antibodies. And in my hospital, after 20 members who had taken this COVID vaccine, anything started from 0 to 250. Is that after 20 members, I just like started study. Anyhow, I observed out of 2 doctors had 0 and 5 doctors had more than 250. Rest of the thing in between 0 to 250. So certain patients, the antibody titers are very important, especially HIV patient, hemodialysis patient, chronic liver disease patient. After receiving a vaccination, you have to check their immunity level. So if antibodies are not there after a vaccination in this set of patients, what to do? One is you can give extra dose. For example, you are given hepatitis 016. You can give after 016, 8, one more dose. Or if you give 016, 0.5 ml in a child or 1 ml in an adult, you give 2 ml instead of 1 ml. Next time you give 2 ml of IM injection. The third way is you can try intradermal route. So some of the studies showed intradermal vaccination routes have a better antibody development rather than intramuscular route. So what is this antibody dependent enhancement? It is very rare reaction, antibody dependent cellular cytotoxicity, ADCC. So antibodies which are induced by a vaccine will actually increase the risk or the severity of the subsequent infection. You are taking a dengue vaccine. The next time if you get a ADCC reaction, if you get a dengue infection, you don't have production, but you have a more severe disease. This is one of the reactions of vaccine, ADCC, but it's not common. So don't worry about ADCC. This is observed in some patients, some of the studies, but not that frequently. So this is one of the worry about the, this is one of the reason even for the delay in the dengue vaccine, availability of dengue vaccine. Coming to the typhoid vaccine, the types of typhoid vaccines available are whole cell inactivated vaccine, live oral vaccine, VA capsular polysaccharide vaccine, typhoid conjugate vaccine is the latest one. One thing of this typhoid vaccine is no vaccine is 100% effective. So you take typhoid vaccine, at least you have some less chances of getting all these typhoid, paratyphoid or your diarrheal diseases. So no typhoid vaccine is 100%. If you compare, for example, for a pneumococcal vaccine, it is 95%. Hepatitis B vaccine, it is 98 to 100%. So even your COVID vaccine, it is, but here in typhoid, it is somewhere 30 to 60% protection from the vaccine. So, but with the recent introduction of typhoid conjugate vaccine, the immunity is more and it can be given even within 6 months after your birth. So when to take a typhoid vaccine? So typhoid vaccine, if it is oral, after 6 years you can take, 6 years onwards. If it is injectable, you can take 2 years onwards. So if you are if you are going out for a travel, you have to take at least 1 week before in a oral vaccine. In injectable, at least 2 weeks before the travel. So how to take oral vaccine? It is a capsular form. You have to take alternative day for 4 doses, 1, 3, 5, 7. If it is IM, intramuscular dose, single dose. But if you have taken oral dose, you need a booster every 5 yearly. If you have taken an intramuscular dose, you can take every 2nd yearly. So this is briefly about typhoid vaccine. Even though typhoid is more common in our setup, this vaccine is not much used. Definitely, if we really use effectively this vaccine, most of the people can be protected from typhoid disease and admissions to the hospital. The other myths about the vaccination, too many vaccines, because when what our present generation, when we took, I think, even I am studying my SPM, it is quite easy question to answer. What is the immunization program? Maybe maximum 10 vaccines you study and go to exam, you pass, or whatever I have taken. At that point, it is very few vaccines. Now I think there is a big list of vaccines, even for childhood vaccination. And there is a myth that you take all the vaccines childhood, your immunity will be altered in the later life, you may get a lot of cancers and disease. It is a myth. It is not right. So this is a concept which is going sometimes in the social medias and WhatsApp university. We should be more careful about the myths. GB syndrome more common with vaccine. I told you it is very, very less and very, very rare. And the risk of GB syndrome after vaccine is far less than risk of the same influenza vaccine, GB syndrome. And the other thing is autism associated with MMR, measles, rubella is also disproved. And some of these side effects, whatever you see, are not because of actual ingredient vaccine, it is because of additive, adjuvants or additives. So coming to HIV vaccine, why we don't have HIV vaccine till now? We had seen our first HIV case somewhere 1984, 40 years after HIV discovery, and we never had a vaccine till now for HIV. The basic problems are the viral replication. Once enter into body, it is relentlessly replicating virus. That's first. The amount of variations in the strains or amount of variations in the strain of HIV differ from each individual and in the same individual. For example, now we know the strains, like for example in a COVID, alpha strain, beta, gamma, delta, omicron, all these strains we know. But the amount of strains we have in a single person, if you take a single person of HIV, suppose I take an influenza vaccine for this year, starting from August to somewhere December, I have influenza vaccine. I did a surveillance in Indian setup. You have some 3 to 5 lakhs of strains are there, influenza for this season in whole population. That amount of strains are there in one single person of HIV. That a number of HIV strains are present in one single person. Means whole year strains in one vaccination is becoming the strains in single person in HIV. That's why you won't have a vaccine till now for HIV. And other thing is all this vaccine development basically antibody aim at the cell membrane glycoprotein envelope. So it basically target the protein part of it, not the glycogen part of it. So in HIV, all these proteins are heavily sugared. The glycogen part covers whole of the protein part so that it is not exposed to the antibody. So the antibody not exposed to the antibody formation will bless. So whatever you give, the vaccine will not form much of the antibodies. So that's why we don't have much vaccines in HIV. And the immune response, immune attack, for example, you give a vaccine to a person, you have 4 strains, A, B, C, D, HIV, A, B, C, D in a given person. And if I suppress completely A, due to selection pressure, B will increase. Then I give one more shot of B, C will increase. Like that, you suppress one strain, the other strain will evolve. That's why you don't have a HIV vaccine till now. So types of HIV vaccine, one is preventive HIV vaccine. It is given to a normal person so that if you accidentally get exposed to HIV, you will not get it. Whereas therapeutic HIV vaccine is the vaccine which is given for a HIV positive patient so that it mainly target the immunity of the body so that it will decrease the progression of the disease as well as the requirement of antiretroviral drugs. So there are 2 vaccines in trials. One is preventive, one is therapeutic. Nothing is available till now. But one good news is the Moderna mRNA HIV vaccine is launched only this month, some first 1 to 2 weeks prior. First Moderna HIV human trial, clinical trial had launched. So how it is prepared? It is mRNA vaccine. They have taken mRNA of glycoprotein ENV and the structure protein GAT. Both these things are covered with a lipid nanoparticle. Both this mRNA will be covered with a lipid nanoparticle to produce what is called virus-like particle, VLPs. So these will be injected into the body. So they order the immunity of the person where these VLPs are injected to produce structural proteins as well as the glycoprotein. So I think this is the only hope. If really this is successful, I think maybe we get a vaccine soon for HIV vaccine, and definitely this is mRNA based technology. Definitely it will not take much time. We also seen in COVID that mRNA based technology vaccines, the phase period, like our first previous speaker are telling, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 will be cut down. So this is one good news.
Next slide.
So these storage of vaccines is very more important. 2 to 8 degrees in refrigerator. Average is 5 degrees. This is also very important. Not only giving vaccine, we should also know the storage of vaccine is more important. And second thing is we have to protect the vaccine from direct sunlight, because UV light may damage certain vaccines. So while we carrying the vaccine also, we should maintain the cold storage, cold chain. And the vaccines can be definitely divided as refrigerated and frozen vaccines. So we should know what is the difference between refrigerated vaccine and a frozen vaccine. And after taking out of the freeze, how much time you have to keep, or you have to use better within 6 hours, not more than 24 hours. You have to discard whatever is left over. But this does not happen in our country. This is a very, very important point whenever we are taking a vaccine. After reconstitution, you should be used within 6 hours to 24 hours. So what are the vaccines in the pipeline? The new vaccines, what we are getting is enterotoxigenic E. coli, Shigella, HSV vaccine, Group A Staphylococcus, Group A Streptococcus, malaria, Neisseria gonorrhea, Nora, paratyphoid, respiratory, RSV, TB. There are a lot of vaccines in the trials. So if we can get vaccines out of this TB, RSV, malaria, and enterotoxic E. coli, we can prevent a major burden of respiratory as well as gastrointestinal diseases, which are more prevalent in our country. So I think it is this availability of vaccine will make us, already malaria vaccine is also in trials in African countries, and dengue vaccine also already approved in vaccine African countries. Previous dengue vaccine and present dengue vaccine, it covers all 4 dengue strains, the dengue 1, 2, 3, 4, and is more safe. I think not available in Indian setup, this dengue vaccine, malaria vaccine, because I think we should get these vaccines as quickly as possible, because one of the major burden in our clinical practice is malaria and dengue. So for prevention, at least for financial purpose also, if these vaccines are brought down very early into our country, definitely it will be more useful. So I think since morning we are talking everything about adult vaccination. Things to be remembered is one, what vaccine you have to take, when you have to take, what time, what is the schedule, right? So for example, after 016 or 1 vaccine or 2 vaccine, what is the route? Route is also important. Some are given subcutaneous, some are given intramuscular, some are given intradermal. Route is also important. Whether there is a booster or not, what are the contraindications? If you know these 6 points for all these vaccines, forget everything. You can take your vaccine, you can advise your patients. Vaccine type, vaccine time, vaccine schedule, vaccine route, vaccine booster, whether contraindicated or not. Whatever money is spent on vaccine is never a waste. You may think a pneumococcal vaccine is 6,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. HPV vaccine is 6 to 9,000 rupees. Definitely in a long run, we have a lot of usefulness for this vaccine. And finally, take home message. First, take your vaccine. Next, advise your patient. So after listening, at least half of us who are not taken our boosters or not taken our vaccines, if we can really take those vaccines, and if possible, try to advise. I think Dr. Srinivas Raju, our IMA President Sir's goal of taking this will be very much success, and not only with the CME, and also a change of our practice is a important goal, what we see after CME. So after CME, what I know till now and what I should do after this. If you can really take that, I think it will be more useful. So just one or two slides on cardiovascular system, because actually my topic is cardiovascular system, but I thought it is better to take practical points rather than telling us to take so and so vaccines in a different setups. So, sir, can I just have 2 more slides, sir? So, influenza vaccine and cardiovascular system, within 7 days of confirmed influenza, for example, you have an influenza now. After your influenza, there is a 6-fold risk of myocardial infarction within next 6 days. Means after you get an influenza today, within next 6 days, you have a 6-fold increased risk of MI. This we see very, very commonly nowadays. All post-COVID vaccines, sudden deaths. Some of the celebrities, some of the people, important people who died. And in a population-based studies of adult hospitalization with influenza, 12% had acute coronary artery disease. It is a major chunk of people. If a patient is getting for any of the influenza pneumonias or any of the influenza-related illnesses, out of that 12% will have acute event, coronary event in that admission. So American Heart Association recommends influenza vaccine in all patients with established coronary artery disease, or even at the risk with the coronary artery disease also supposed to take this influenza vaccine. With influenza vaccine, not only there is a reduction of mortality and major adverse cardiovascular events, there is also a risk of decreased hospitalizations because of the coronary artery disease. So pneumococcal vaccine, pneumococcal 23, PPV 23 vaccine decreases the risk of MI in elderly. A lot of studies are there. There is also significant reduction in all-cause mortality due to CV events in patients greater than 65 years. 18 studies showed decreased risk of CV events and MI more in elderly than younger patients. So elderly patient, if they are taking pneumococcal vaccine, will get more benefit when compared to a younger patient taking a pneumococcal vaccine. That's why we try to advise pneumococcal vaccine routinely from more than 10 years, 50 years. So community acquired pneumonia and CV events. Here I just want to present 39 studies taking 92,000 people of community acquired pneumonia. Out of them, 13.9 people have cardiac complications, which are acute coronary syndrome like MI, heart failure 9.2%, arrhythmias 7.2%, and stroke in 0.1%. So community acquired pneumonia either because of viral or bacterial. So at least 13 roughly 14% of 100 patients, 14% are getting the cardiac event. This is not only important as a practical point also. Patient come with fever and some amount of cough, and suddenly he develop MI and die. Patient ask you why patient came with some respiratory infection, coming walking, and why he died. This is sometimes we feel difficult to answer these questions. So what is the mechanism underlying this this cardiovascular mortality? See, in all these pneumonias, especially the viral, bacterial, fungal, or whatever pneumonias, the inflammatory reaction is what drives all these mechanisms of cardiovascular risk of death. So plaque rupture or fissuring of the plaque with superimposed thrombus formation, it is a type 1 MI, myocardial infarction. Type 1 is you have a plaque, it gets ruptured because of inflammatory process, and you have a thrombus, and there is a acute MI. The other type 2 myocardial infarction is you don't have much a plaque, but there is imbalance between oxygen delivery and consumption. due to the ischemia, if there is a fixed stenosis, there is a plaque which is atheroma. Atheroma is there, which is fixed. It is not a totally ruptured, but it narrows your arterial lumen. So the oxygen delivery and consumption, because there is pneumonia, first of all, the oxygen is not going into your body. Whatever is available into the circulation, not much is with the heart. The third mechanism is myocardial injury, directly causing raised tropies without ischemia. Means there is no muscle death or myocardial damage, but there is amount of myocardial injuries, especially we see in myocarditis. The hypercoagulable states after discharge also, it will persist for some time. Hypercoagulable state. We all seen in this COVID period. Most of the patients after 150 days or 1 month suddenly develop pulmonary thromboembolism. The patients who are getting about to get discharged suddenly had a collapse. So hypercoagulable states because of the vaccine preventable pathogens like pneumococcus, influenza, all these things, if not properly taken care, they can develop a hypercoagulable state and die even after discharge from the hospital. The last mechanism is vasoconstriction due to inflammatory cytokines leading to decreased oxygen supply. So there is no plaque, no atheroma. It's only normal coronary artery, but there is a vasoconstriction because of the inflammatory markers. There is a less demand, less supply of oxygen to the heart. So the other mechanism is the organism itself damaging the myocardium. The pathogen invading some of the viruses can invade the myocyte. Like a virus like influenza, adenovirus, respiratory syncytial, bacteria like mycoplasma, staphylococcus, they directly damage the myocardium. The other most important thing with the cardiac, this one is cardiac rhythm disturbances, especially atrial fibrillation. The atrial fibrillation, you get most of the time because of the fever, because of the hypoxemia, or there is a hemodynamic disorder, hypotension. The drugs also can precipitate atrial fibrillation. Sympathetic hyperactivity can also precipitate. All this atrial fibrillation itself can cause your myocardial damage. So these are the ways where the heart is involved in a bacterial viral infections, which are preventable by simple vaccination procedure. So we all know what are the vaccines to be taken. So this is briefly about cardiovascular involvement. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity today to present. I think I had covered the other vaccines which most of the speakers are not covered, starting from typhoid vaccine to HIV vaccine, and what are the problems we clinically face in doing this adult vaccination. But definitely we get a lot more questions rather than what I had presented. Sometimes patient will come and ask, after taking vaccine, can I take chicken? Suddenly they go home and phone me and ask whether can I take chicken today or can I take fish? Or sometimes they have a small itching. Immediately they'll phone you and ask, I have itching now. Is it really? These things are really looking quite simple and but irritating sometimes, because midnight he will call you and ask you, I have itching now. Is it really a reaction? So practicing adult vaccine, it is advising is easy. I think following is difficult, but we have to do our best so that at least we can save a lot of our time, money, and your resources. Because we had seen in the COVID second wave, what is the situation when the balance between the availability and the demand in the medical field mismatches. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you very much. I appreciate your vocal cords for a deliberate speech for a long time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one doubt. What about national immunization program for elderly? Is there anything? You are in the department. You will be knowing all national programs. As far as my knowledge, there is no national program. Is there any national program for adult immunization in your India?
National program is not there.
Dr. Manoj,
sir,
we will discuss.
As on today, there is no any clear-cut program.
Yes, sir.
The national.
Yes, sir. I also know, but I don't know.
But what happened is the MOH almost also taking the pains to formulate the adult immunization program and taking the help of the IMA headquarters. And in return, IMA headquarters almost importing all the local branches also, including state branches, to first of all spread the awareness about the adult vaccination. So this is the first step. I think within a few months, we are going to take up in the large platform, the adult vaccination on the national scale. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And Dr. Manoj,
Sir.
My brother, Dr. Panidar, he had a question. That is, many people say that adult vaccination is a myth. Please dispel that one.
Actually, in our setup, myths will be more circulating than truth.
Popular. Yeah, you are right.
After WhatsApp, more myths, less truth.
Yeah.
So all this, the effort since morning regarding starting from our first speaker to the last speaker, what is the burden of the disease? What is, especially in our countries, as much as we can invest on prevention, definitely it will go a long way. We will not invest anything in prevention. We invest everything on treatment.
Yeah.
That is a major trend what is followed since years. So if for example, our first speaker also told, like the compulsory, it should be made a compulsory. Everybody should carry that vaccination schedule, including healthcare workers. Unless you don't do a compulsory, I don't think it is quite easy to implement all these things in adult vaccination. But definitely all vaccine preventable diseases. Simply you get a small cough and cold in day and third day after going to ICU can be prevented.
Yes, the amount spent on treating a person can prevent the same disease in thousands of people.
Thousands of people. And
thousands of people.
And personally also, if somebody comes to you walking and just cough and cold, at third day he develop ARDS, fourth day he die, immediately we are in trouble. They think why we came walking. They don't know all these mechanisms underlying the cardiovascular mortality with a pneumonia or influenza. So
okay, thank you very much, Dr. Manoj. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Lastly, 1 minute from my side. We are talking about adult vaccination for the individuals, persons, but I am bothered about the nation. Our nation is an adult, more than 73 years old. This nation is having 3 diseases majorly: tuberculosis, malaria, AIDS. No, not these things, but hunger, illiteracy, and ignorance. These 3 are the diseases for our nation: hunger, illiteracy, and ignorance. Hunger can be prevented by encouraging the farmers, by giving suitable position for the farmers and home officers to raise the kitchen gardens. Illiteracy can be prevented by teachers. They must be utilized properly to teach the people, not to make the people to make them stand in queues. And ignorance, health education, nutrition education, these are the need of the hour. By these, our nation can be prevented from all the diseases and our nation can develop. I thank our State President, Honorable State President, our beloved Dr. Srinivas Raju Garu, for giving me this opportunity, and all of you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. And finally, I thank Dr. Lokesh Idara, Dr. Anuradha Garu, and our Parthasarathi, Yugandhar, Uma Shankar, and our Manoj. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Over to our President, Dr. Srinivas Raju Garu, for closing remarks.
Thank you, Karunamurthy Garu, for your excellent moderation.
Thank you, sir.
First, before I congratulate and also extend my thanks to all the delegates who graced this virtual board today and make this program a grand success. First of all, on behalf of IMA state, let me convey my profuse thanks to the two companies of our country, Serum Institute of India and also Bharat Biotech, who has done human surveys in the containment of the recent pandemic. Definitely, it is a hats off to the both companies, Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute of India, and also central government and all the frontline workers, especially doctors and paramedic workforce, and also public health experts, and also expert group led by especially by the ICMR. And let me take this opportunity to announce two more programs in the next month. That is, one is the pediatric cardiology, because friends, you all know, in our Andhra Pradesh, almost every year, we are almost facing 2,000 congenital heart diseases, babies in the babies. So definitely there is a very lacuna and deficit of services to providing the congenital heart disease operations at free of cost. In this regard, I must appreciate the TTD Devasthanam and also government of Andhra Pradesh for continuing the work in a grand manner at the near the Balaji Hospital in Tirupati, led superbly by the Dr. Srinath Reddy, the pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon. And hats off to him. And I request him to have a get together and also to have a appraisal workshop with all the IMA members to spread the awareness about the importance of the pediatric cardiac surgery. And that is called as the project taken on behalf of IMA AP State as Sahrudayam. IMA AP State Sahrudayam. That is the project title. And the next is the medico-legal implications in the day-to-day practice. So these two programs may be scattered in the months of the March and April. So I expect the same response and grandeur from the APMC and also and our IMA members and all those speakers and also my senior colleagues and past presidents and past secretaries of the IMA state. And I must say, once again, hearty thanks to all of you. And before the concluding, I request our Finance Secretary, Dr. Subhash Bose Garu, to extend the vote of thanks. Bose Garu, unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. My heartfelt thanks to our National President Sajanand Prasad Singh and our Honorable General Secretary J.S. Lile and our State President Srinivas Raju Garu for his dynamic and conducting this CME program very excellently. And I am thankful to our General Secretary Nandakishore Garu and past President our Subramanian Garu and President-elect Dr. Ravi Krishna Garu and Dr. Srihari Garu and Dr. Karunamurthy Garu, who made this CME program excellent by conducting with his beautiful voice and moderation. And I am very thankful to him. And I am very thankful to our observer of CPMC, Dr. Balaji Garu. And last but not the least, I am very thankful to all the delegates who patiently sat here and seen this CME program. And also Dr. Either Lokesh Garu all the way, he spent his time during the night time also losing his sleep and made this function excellent. And by serving all the things, I am very thankful to each and everybody. If anybody I forgot, please kindly excuse me. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us sign off.
Shall we leave, sir?
Thank you, friends. Let us sign off.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.